Chapter 107. More and more demonic cultivator corpses were piling up around them. Chu Kuangren had repeated the same action of waving his sword several times. The 100,000 demonic cultivators had been terrorized by him, and now, less than a tenth of them were left. During this process he consumed a terrifying amount of spiritual power. If it was any other cultivator in the same realm, even if there were 10 of them, their spiritual power would have dried up long ago. However, he persisted until now. His foundation was simply too powerful. Although it couldn't be said that his 4 supreme foundations were unprecedented, at the very least, in this era no one could match them. Beside him, Lan Yu's face had already turned pale. Her cultivation had already advanced to the paradise realm, and with the help of her supreme Taoist body, the amount of spiritual power she had was several times more than that of other cultivators in the same realm. However, after a round of slaughter, her spiritual power had already been exhausted. Lan Yu, you should rest for a while, Chu Kuangren said gently. As long as Lan Yu was within the protection of the white lotus light of purification, no one present could hurt her. Sir, be careful, Lan Yu said. She then took out a pill and swallowed it. She then began to adjust her breathing, trying to recover her spiritual energy as quickly as possible. This scene caused the mouths of all the demonic cultivators present to twitch twice. Are you kidding me? We're killing each other. Furthermore, you're outnumbered. Do you have to be so arrogant? You're adjusting your breathing right under our noses? That woman can't hold on much longer, and I think Chu Kuangren is almost at his limit as well. Let's keep it up, everyone, the leader of the Ashura sect said. Although there were less than 10,000 demonic cultivators left, most of them were at the nascent soul realm. Their battle prowess was also extremely terrifying. Coupled with the fact that some of the demonic cultivators had yet to make a move, Chu Kuangren and his companion's situation had not improved at all. In fact, it had become even more dangerous. Now is the time. Among the crowd, a skinny old man stared at the demonic spear of apocalypse beside Chu Kuangren, and took out a white hand bone from his yin and yang ring. After the hand bone appeared, the demonic spear of apocalypse trembled as if it had sensed something. Chu Kuangren was surprised as he glanced at the skinny old man. Taoist runes began to circulate in his eyes. Venerable Ku Teng, a trusted follower of the limitless demon venerable in the past, a remnant of the limitless demon sect. His cultivation is at the middle stage of the venerable realm, and he cultivates a supreme technique. With the remains of the limitless demon venerable, he can resonate with the demonic spear of apocalypse. A series of messages flashed past. Chu Kuangren was surprised as he looked at the skeletal hand in his opponent's hand. There was indeed an honorable Taoist rhyme emanating from it. The demonic spear of apocalypse was once the weapon of the limitless demon lord, so it was not unusual for it to resonate with his remains. But if you think you can take the demonic spear away like this, you must be dreaming. Chu Kuangren snorted coldly. He reached out and grabbed the devil's spear, and a majestic spiritual power surged out. The originally trembling devil's spear was forcibly suppressed by him. Honorable Ku Teng's expression changed. I can't believe that Chu Kuangren has such spiritual power. Unbelievable. When the other experts saw Venerable Ku Teng's actions, they also had their own guesses. At the same time, they were also surprised by Venerable Ku Teng's appearance. Ever since the death of the limitless demon lord, this Venerable Ku Teng has disappeared without a trace. I thought that he was long dead. To think that he's actually still alive. That old bastard is too good at living. A supreme's lifespan is at most 8,000 years. Demonic cultivators are not tolerated by the heavenly Tao, so their lifespans are even shorter. He actually managed to live until now? There are many treasures in this world that can extend one's lifespan. From the looks of it, he's not far from heavenly deterioration stage 5. The experts of the 3 demonic orthodoxies discussed in a low voice. Chu Kuangren looked at Honorable Ku Teng and said, most of the demonic orthodoxies' honorables have been intercepted by the 7th forefather. You must have some tricks up your sleeves to be able to sneak in. What a pity. Since you've lived in hiding for so many years, why didn't you continue to hide? Why did you suddenly come out? Do you have a death wish? Honorable Ku Teng sneered. The demonic spear of apocalypse is the demonic honorable's weapon. It should belong to the supreme demon sect. A long-dead orthodoxy that only left behind remnants like you to struggle on death's door dares to snatch the sage ruler weapon? How foolish. You'll know once you try. Without another word, Honorable Kutung raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack. An extremely sinister Taoist rhyme manifested and blasted towards Chu Kuangren. The white lotuses in the sky trembled. The outermost layer of the white lotuses seemed to have been ravaged by a storm as the petals withered and shattered. Since the beginning of the war, this was the first time the white lotus light of purification had been destroyed. Although it did not completely shatter, the crowd of demonic cultivators' eyes lit up and their faces were filled with joy. Haha! This guy's spiritual power is almost depleted. Everyone, keep it up. Chu Kuangren, prepare to die. The demonic cultivators attacked with all their might. All sorts of Taoist rhymes erupted and bombarded the white lotuses, causing them to tremble and shatter. Just when Honorable Kutung was about to attack, a handsome young man suddenly appeared in front of him. Who's there? Honorable Kutung's expression changed slightly. However, when he saw the young man's face clearly, his pupils dilated in disbelief. You're the demonic honorable. No, that's not right. The demonic honorable is already dead. Honorable Kutung quickly denied it. I'm his descendant. Lend me your arm bone, I have a way to get the demonic spear of apocalypse. The young man stared at the arm bone in his opponent's hand with a burning gaze. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren was dealing with the attacks of many demonic cultivators. Maintaining his Taoist physique's three major transformations, the white lotus light of purification, and activating the sage ruler technique had consumed too much of his spiritual power. However, Chu Kuangren did not panic. Instead, he remained calm. Gluttonous devouring technique. A strange Taoist rhyme suddenly erupted around Chu Kuangren's body, and a terrifying suction force erupted. The corpses of the demonic cultivators around him were disintegrated into countless blood and flesh essences that gushed towards him from all directions. The corpses of the demonic cultivators piled up like a mountain. To Chu Kuangren, who possessed the gluttonous devouring technique, these corpses were like precious herbs that could replenish his spiritual power at any time. Moreover, unlike ordinary medicinal pills that required a certain amount of time to be digested, they could be converted into spiritual power in a very short period of time, once they entered his body. That was Chu Kuangren's greatest source of confidence in this battle. With the gluttonous devouring technique, he had no fear of exhausting his spiritual power. Group battles were completely useless to him. The demonic cultivators' plan to wear him down with a continuous battle was a mistake from the beginning. The more he killed, the more spiritual power he could replenish. Large amounts of blood and flesh essences flowed into Chu Kuangren's body like rivers flowing into the sea. His originally depleted spiritual power was recovering at a terrifying rate, and it even showed signs of improving. That scene almost made all the demonic cultivators shut themselves up. They had been fighting with their lives on the line to deplete their opponent's spiritual power, but he had recovered in the blink of an eye. That was just too shameless. What? What kind of technique is that? Why does this guy have so many techniques? I've never even heard of any of them. Where did he get them from? If he had such a technique, why didn't he use it just now? I understand now. He's trying to create an illusion. He wants to give us the illusion that we can exhaust his spiritual power and defeat him. However, who would have thought that he would have such a method? Chapter 108. His gluttonous devouring technique caught everyone off guard. Chu Kuangren, who had once again recovered to his peak, once again formed white lotuses in the void. His peerless defense rendered all the demonic cultivators helpless. With a swing of the sacred sword, the domineering sword ray killed many demonic cultivators. Even the elites of the three demonic orthodoxies were no match for him. The remaining 10,000 demonic cultivators were killed one after another. Buzz buzz. At that moment the demonic spear of apocalypse, which was beside Chu Kuangren, leaped into the air and shot towards a certain direction. A young man grabbed the flying demonic spear with a face full of joy. I did it! The demonic spear of apocalypse is mine now. The young man held a hand bone in his hand, and a powerful Taoist rhyme emanated from his body that resonated strongly with the demonic spear of apocalypse. The resonance was even stronger than before. Taoist runes swirled in Chu Kuangren's eyes as he glanced at the young man. Zhao Wujin, the descendant of the former Supreme Demonic Honorable, the current disciple of the Chakra King of the Underworld Palace. He possesses the supreme demonic physique and cultivates a sage technique. Chu Kuangren was surprised. The descendant of the Supreme Demonic Honorable? Looks like all sorts of monsters have popped up. Chu Kuangren remained calm despite the demonic spear being snatched away. On the other hand, the other demonic cultivators were extremely excited. Someone got the demonic spear. Who's that young man? Chu Kuangren said that he's the descendant of the Supreme Demonic Honorable. Is that true? The Taoist rhyme that emanated from him is the Supreme Demonic Physique, the same physique that the Supreme Demonic Honorable once possessed. Besides, I've seen the Supreme Demonic Honorable's portrait before, and it does bear some resemblance to this young man. Could it be that he was the one who destroyed the Mountain River sect for the demonic spear of Apocalypse? Seems like he succeeded. Who cares whose descendant he is? Now that the demonic spear is no longer in Chu Kuangren's hands, it'll be much easier to get it. Let's go. That's right. The Supreme Demonic Honorable is dead. So the demonic spear of Apocalypse is now ownerless. Even if the descendant of the Supreme Demonic Honorable wants it, he'll have to prove himself with his strength. If he can't keep it, he can't blame anyone else. The cultivators of the three demonic orthodoxies immediately changed their target. Chu Kuangren was too strong. So strong that even the demonic cultivators were helpless against him. With the demonic spear in his hands, the demonic cultivators had no hope at all. However, now that they had fallen into Zhao Wujin's hands, they felt that they could do whatever they wanted again. Chu Kuangren and the others could not do anything to them, but could they not do anything to them? Who dares to harm young master? Venerable Kutung suddenly stepped forward and said loudly, regardless of whether it was for the demonic spear of Apocalypse or Zhao Wuji's identity, he could not allow anyone to harm Zhao Wuji. You want the demon spear? You think you're worthy? Zhao Wujin held the demon spear of Apocalypse in his hand, and the Taoist rhymes of the supreme demon body erupted. The aura he unleashed was not weaker than any of the battle monarchs present, as expected of the descendant of the demon lord. Truly extraordinary. Venerable Kutung praised. I say, aren't you guys looking down on me too much? At that moment, Chu Kuangren's figure appeared. Holding the descendant's self-sword in his hand, he took a step forward and arrived beside Zhao Wujin. With a ferocious slash, the domineering purple sword ray almost tore the void apart. Zhao Wujin held the demonic spear in his hand and fiercely attacked the sword light. The two forces collided and gave off a loud explosion. The terrifying force traveled along the long spear and directly shattered the bones in Zhao Wujin's arms. He let out a miserable howl and was sent flying backward, unable to hold on to the devil's spear. Come, try and see if you can take it away again. Chu Kuangren took the demonic spear that flew out and stabbed it into the ground. How can this be? Zhao Wujin was shocked. Even with the demonic spear of Apocalypse, he could not block Chu Kuangren's sword attack. His hands trembled and drops of blood dripped down. He gritted his teeth and used his supreme demonic physique to activate the demon honorable's arm bone to resonate with the demonic spear. He wanted to take the demonic spear of Apocalypse back again. However, it was useless. Under Chu Kuangren's powerful suppression, the demonic spear did not budge an inch. *M*, the demonic spear is back in Chu Kuangren's hands again. There's no way we can take it back. Let's go. Chu Kuangren is too strong. Let's leave first. Some of the demonic cultivators suppressed their desire for the demonic spear and wanted to leave. However, they were met with an obstacle. What's going on? The spatial structure here has been changed. The demonic cultivators who wanted to leave were shocked. Not far away, Chu Kuangren sneered when he saw everything. Do you really think you can come and go as you please? The Nine Heaven Sword prison had sealed the world. How could it be that easy to leave? Ever since these demonic cultivators arrived, Chu Kuangren had no intention of letting them leave. He would not let any of them go. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. With a swing of the sacred sword, a sword ray that had been repeated countless times surged out. The Ashura sect's battle monarch leader was killed on the spot. He did not even have the time to scream. Chu Kuangren, spare my life. I'm willing to serve you as my master. I'll be your slave. the Euphoria sex lady said tearfully. Her face was charming, and her eyes were captivating. Chu Kuangren looked up at her. You're such a slut. As soon as he said that, he swung his sacred sword. Under the lady's horrified gaze, the sword ray engulfed her without any resistance. Her body was instantly blasted into a bloody mess. Run! Run! We're no match for him. D***, how can he be so strong? He's just one person, but we, 100,000 demonic cultivators, are helpless against him. How is this possible? On the battlefield, the demonic cultivators were in a state of panic. Honorable Kutung had also tried to escape, but even he could not break free from the Nine Heaven Sword prison and was trapped there. Left with no choice, he decided to fight Chu Kuangren with his life on the line. However, even an honorable could only take one more attack from him. With the fall of Honorable Kutung, the rest of the demonic cultivators became even more desperate. At that moment, cries of mercy and screams could be heard. However, Chu Kuangren was unfazed. With the sword of heaven above his head and a green lotus under his feet, he was surrounded by white lotuses. He looked like a high and mighty immortal. However, to these demonic cultivators, no one looked more like a demon than Chu Kuangren. No, I'll die if I stay here any longer. I must escape. Zhao Wujin was terrified. He quickly took out a talisman that was engraved with mysterious runes and tore it apart. A powerful surge of spatial Taoist rhyme erupted from the talisman and enveloped Zhao Wujin. In the blink of an eye, he broke free from the Nine Heaven Sword prison's seal. Chu Kuangren was surprised when he noticed the spatial anomaly. Is this spatial energy? Is it some kind of spatial treasure? Chu Kuangren murmured. There were many spatial treasures in this world, and the most well-known one was a type of talisman known as the Great Shift Talisman. This type of talisman was extremely rare, and only the best talisman master could create it. Moreover, there were only a few talisman masters who could do so since ancient times. But it doesn't matter. He's just a small fry. I'll just kill him when I meet him in the future. Chu Kuangren ignored him. Not long after, Chu Kuangren killed the last few demonic cultivators with a wave of his hand. With that, the battle had officially come to an end. In the mountains, the corpses of the demonic cultivators were scattered all over the place like weeds. Broken limbs and blood flowed like rivers. It was a hellish scene that was hard to look at. In this hell, a peerless white-robed figure stood with a sword in hand. His ethereal aura was incompatible with the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood. Chapter 109. He did it. In the mountain river city, everyone witnessed how Chu Kuangren killed 100,000 demonic cultivators through the sky observation mirror. They were shocked beyond words. Then they were overjoyed. He did it. He did it. The 100,000 demonic cultivators are dead. The demonic onslaught in the northern Lingdao state has been resolved. Even if there are still demonic cultivators around, there's nothing to be afraid of. That's right, this is great. Brother Chu is truly a godly person. Countless people in the mountain river city worshipped Chu Kuangren to the point where some even knelt on the street and worshipped him like a god. It was just like how the White Lotus sage ruler had single-handedly saved the lives of billions of people in the southern kingdoms. Even now, her story was still passed down from generation to generation. It was the same for Chu Kuangren. His name would be remembered in the history books of the northern Lingdao state and be sung for generations to come. How is this possible? How did he do it? Compared to the ecstatic crowd, Ao Chong, Fong Tian, and the others looked terrible. They stared at the sky observation mirror with dissatisfaction. They had planned to strike only after Chu Kuangren failed, and they had prepared their men for that. But now all their preparations were useless. Chu Kuangren had single-handedly killed 100,000 demonic cultivators. He had done something that they did not even dare to imagine. Among the crowd, a white-robed elder looked at Chu Kuangren through the sky observation mirror and exclaimed, "What an anomaly! What an anomaly!" At the other end of the mountain range, the battle between the seventh forefather and the others had yet to end. However, all of them had noticed that the battle between Chu Kuangren and the 100,000 demonic cultivators had ended. Has the battle stopped? It's over. Who has the demonic spear of apocalypse? Everyone could not wait to release their spiritual thoughts. However, when the scene at the other end of the mountain range appeared in their minds, everyone, including the Chakra King, was shocked. Amidst the mountains of corpses and a sea of blood, there was only a peerless white robe. Even the honorables could not help but be shocked by that scene. All the demonic cultivators are dead. How is this possible? The seventh patriarch and the other Tao protectors were also shocked. The densely packed corpses of the demonic cultivators were simply too frightening. Ha ha ha, as expected of the Black Heaven sect's lead disciple. You demonic cultivators must be dreaming if you think you can kill him. The seventh forefather laughed. Are you even worthy of killing the sage of my White Lotus school? As expected of Princess Linglong's husband. Both Supremacy Qinglan and the old woman were filled with pride as well. At that moment Chu Kuangren, who was in the middle of the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, made another unexpected move. A strange Taoist rhyme emanated from his body, and the countless demonic cultivator corpses around him all turned into blood-colored light dots that surged towards him. Taotaiar, unleash. Chu Kuangren absorbed a large amount of demonic cultivator's blood and flesh essences. His aura continued to rise. What kind of strange technique is this? He's going to break through the realm. He just experienced a great battle, and now he's going to break through, and he's even borrowing the power of 100,000 devil cultivators. Too terrifying. The experts from the three demonic sects were stunned. F***CKme. Not only did you kill so many of us, you even want to use their corpses to break through your cultivation? That's too much. Just who was the demonic cultivator here? Why did they feel that Chu Kuangren was more of a demon than they were? Amidst the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, Lan Yu had already recovered most of his spiritual power. Seeing that Chu Kuangren was absorbing the demonic cultivator's blood and flesh essences, she stood by his side to protect him. At that moment, Chu Kuangren had activated the Taotai art to its limit, and the countless blood and flesh essences were continuously absorbed by him. If this technique were to be used recklessly, it would damage one's luck and karma. However, not now. That was because the 100,000 demonic cultivators were here to kill him. If he retaliated, he would not be tainted by karma, nor would his luck be damaged. A large amount of blood and flesh essences flowed through the Taotai dimension, flowing through his limbs and bones, converging at his spiritual mound, where they were converted into pure spiritual power. Chu Kuangren's aura continued to rise as he headed towards the Battle Monarch realm. A surge of Taoist rhyme shot into the sky and formed into an incomparably gorgeous golden crown with Taoist patterns flowing around it. Taoist beads formed on the crown, which was extremely mysterious. 1, 2, 3. In an instant 7 Taoist beads formed on the crown. The 7-pearl crown. This was already the highest level of foundation. Many cultivators exclaimed in admiration. No, it's not enough. It's far from enough. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up as he accelerated the absorption of the blood and flesh essences around him. Countless corpses of demonic cultivators were disintegrated and dispersed into the surroundings. 100,000 demonic cultivators died without leaving behind any corpses. However, even after absorbing 100,000 demonic cultivators, the 7-pearl crown on top of Chu Kuangren's head did not show any signs of evolving. Chu Kuangren took out another half of a corpse. It was a headless corpse with Taoist patterns flowing around it and mysterious Taoist rhymes. It was the corpse of the Black Light Sage. Chu Kuangren activated the Taotai art and absorbed the sage's corpse as well. The majestic blood and flesh essences once again erupted. Another Taoist bead was formed. The 8-pearl crown. Not enough. Chu Kuangren then took out the Boundary Sage-grade Supreme Elixir that he had previously obtained and swallowed it into his stomach. As the Supreme Elixir took effect, Chu Kuangren's body radiated with endless divine radiance. The cultivators were stunned when they saw that. He just took out a Boundary Sage-grade Supreme Elixir, but he just ate it like that. F***ing what a waste. A cow chewing on a peony. It's really a cow chewing on a peony. Countless cultivators were heartbroken. If a skilled alchemist were to refine a Boundary Sage-grade Supreme Elixir, there was a high chance that they could create a batch of Boundary Sage-grade pills. Even if they could not, refining it would be very beneficial for an honorable. It was even possible for them to break through a few small realms. However, Chu Kuangren just chewed it like that. How much medicinal power was wasted like that? Although he was not heartbroken, the others were sighing. However, Chu Kuangren did not care about that. With the help of the half-sage-grade corpse and the boundary sage-grade supreme elixir, the golden crown on his head finally formed the 9th Taoist bead. Supreme Foundation Level 9 Pearl Crown. Rays of light scattered from the crown and enveloped Chu Kuangren. The experts who were watching from afar had complicated expressions on their faces. The 9 Pearl Crown. Throughout the past 150,000 years, only a handful of people had managed to do so. However, Chu Kuangren had done it in front of them. Not only that, but he had also formed a Supreme Taoist Foundation Level, a Supreme Golden Core, a Supreme Nascent Soul, and a Supreme Purple Palace Realm. Now, with the addition of this crown, he had 5 Supreme Foundation Levels. How terrifying would his combat strength be? The experts could not even imagine it. The Sky Prides felt even more hopeless. Slaying 100,000 demons before forming a Supreme Foundation Level. Chu Kuangren is just too amazing. With him in this era, where will the other Sky Prides be? How sad. Chu Kuangren had officially reached the Battle Monarch realm. He was crowned king amidst a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Let's go. The rest of the demonic cultivators no longer held any hope for the demonic spear of apocalypse. One by one they left the mountain range. The 7th forefather and the other 2 did not stop them and rushed towards Chu Kuangren instead. By then the crown on Chu Kuangren's head had disappeared. However, within his spiritual mound, the 5 Supreme Foundation Levels radiated brilliantly, causing Taoist rhymes to circulate around his body. He was like an immortal who was about to ascend. Little guy, you're amazing. Chapter 110. Kid, you're really something. The 7th forefather came before Chu Kuangren and praised him. The old lady and Honorable Qing Lan were also pleased and impressed. Even the 7th forefather and the other 2 did not expect to kill 100,000 demonic cultivators. Not to mention that Chu Kuangren managed to forge a Supreme Battle Monarch Foundation Level after killing 100,000 demonic cultivators. It was unbelievable. Chu Kuangren smiled and said, "After this battle, the demonic onslaught in northern Lingdao has been mostly resolved. The next step will be much easier." Not bad. However, I'm afraid the reputation of the other sage orthodoxies is going to be tarnished this time. Those Taoists will definitely be punished when they return. Honorable Qing Lan smiled and said, "The demonic onslaught was a chance for the sage orthodoxies to train their Sky Prides, hoping that they could use this opportunity to raise their reputation. However, no one expected things to turn out this way. Chu Kuangren had taken all the limelight. It could even be said that he had single-handedly resolved the demonic onslaught. The Sky Prides of the other sage orthodoxies did not do much, but the people and cultivators of northern Lingdao could see that. Even if they did not say anything, the reputation of Jiang Valley, the sacred lands of serene wisdom, and the other sage orthodoxies would definitely be affected. They reap what they sow, Chu Kuangren said. If these people really wanted to help the people solve the demonic onslaught, things would not have turned out this way. After that, Chu Kuangren left the mountain range and returned to the mountain river city. In the city, countless people stood on both sides of the street. When Chu Kuangren entered the city, everyone looked at him with a fervent gaze. Chu Kuangren was shocked. Damn it, what's wrong with these people? He did not know that the Li family head had used the divine observatory mirror to promote him. We thank Master Chu for your kindness. Thank you, Brother Chu. Immortal's great kindness, we will never dare to forget it. The people and cultivators on both sides of the street were kneeling on the ground. Some of them addressed Chu Kuangren as a brother, while others called him master. To most people, Chu Kuangren was an immortal. The crowd was kneeling on the ground, and it was a spectacular sight to behold. Chu Kuangren was a little stunned by the scene. However, he still went forward to help the Li family patriarch and the mountain river Taoist up. Everyone, there's no need to do this. Please get up. Fellow Taoist, you've helped northern Lingdao to resolve the demonic onslaught. This is a great favor that you deserve. Patriarch Li said. It's my job, Chu Kuangren said. He dealt with the crowd. Not far away, Ao Chong and the others were filled with hatred and jealousy when they saw the revered Chu Kuangren. No matter where they were, as long as Chu Kuangren was around, they would all be relegated to the background. No one would notice them at all. This made them extremely aggrieved. No matter what, they were the geniuses of their respective orthodoxies. Phew, I'm finally back. Chu Kuangren could not help but lament when he returned to his temporary residence. Just now on the street, everyone was extremely friendly to him. Dealing with this group of people was probably not as tiring as killing 100,000 devil cultivators. The next day, Chu Kuangren yawned and stood up. As usual, he opened the fantasy roulette after brushing his teeth and washing his face. It's been a while since I've gotten anything good. I hope I'll be lucky this time, Chu Kuangren thought. The roulette began to spin. Congratulations, host. You've drawn a legendary item. Eternal Emperor Scripture. Huh. Chu Kuangren's body trembled. F***CKme. I really got a legendary item. And it was an Emperor Scripture. Emperor Scriptures were similar to Emperor techniques in that they were usually created by emperors. However, there was still a huge difference between the two. The latter referred to a certain technique, while the former referred to an emperor's understanding of the Tao. It could also include various techniques. For example, an emperor technique was a poem, while an emperor scripture was a book that taught people how to compose a poem. It could also include various types of poems. In terms of value, an emperor scripture was far more valuable than an emperor technique. Especially in this era where monarch inheritances were severed and even monarch techniques were extremely rare, monarch scriptures were unimaginably precious treasures. If this emperor scripture were to appear, the entire firmament star would be in chaos. None of the orthodoxies could resist such a temptation. The Eternal Emperor Scripture was written by an eternal emperor. It includes the Tao Enlightenment section, the Emperor Technique section, the Alchemy section, the Runic section. Chu Kuangren looked at the introduction of the Eternal Emperor Scripture. He could not wait to take this Emperor Scripture out and study it. Studying an Emperor Scripture is not child's play. I mustn't be impulsive. Chu Kuangren took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Then, he began to familiarize himself with the power in his body. He had just ascended to the Battle Monarch realm yesterday, and had even formed a supreme foundation like the Nine-Pearled Crown. He had to find some time to test it out. Besides the breakthrough in his cultivation, Chu Kuangren felt that his body had also changed. His immortal body had improved. He was originally in the first realm of the immortal body, but after he broke through to the Battle Monarch realm, he had now reached the second realm. Broken limbs rebirth. Originally, he could heal all kinds of injuries quickly. Now, even if he broke an arm or a leg, he could recover quickly. Chu Kuangren took out the Descendant Self-Sword and waved it around his arm and thigh, wondering if he should give it a try. After some thought, he gave up on the idea. After all, he did not have the tendency to hurt himself. In the dark, the three protectors looked at each other. They did not understand what Chu Kuangren was trying to do. What kind of person would use a sword to stab themselves in the back? Master, there's a visitor. At that moment, Lan Yu knocked on the door and said, "All right, I'm coming." Chu Kuangren answered, put on his clothes and walked out. "Master, please wait a moment." Lan Yu suddenly called out to Chu Kuangren. She walked up to him and straightened his crooked collar. Then she looked at him and smiled in satisfaction. "It's done. Damn. I didn't expect Lan Yu to have obsessive-compulsive disorder." Chu Kuangren laughed and then walked towards the great hall. He saw that the visitor was an old man in plain clothes. This old man's hair and beard were all white. Although he was wearing plain clothes, he had an extraordinary aura and demeanor. Chu Kuangren looked at him and activated the Eye of Revelation. The Divine Predictor, the sect leader of the Phantom Valley Physiognomy sect. He's an expert in the art of divination. He can foresee 500 years in the past and 300 years in the future. He's the #1 physiognomist in Firmament Star. Oh, it's him. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. The Divine Predictor was definitely a legend in Firmament Star. He was the #1 physiognomist in the world of physiognomy, and he was the one who predicted the reopening of the Emperor's path in this world. It was because of this person that this world was known as the era of great battles and gave countless cultivators the hope of becoming an emperor. Even an honorable supreme would have to show some respect to this person. Why would such a person come looking for me? Greetings, Senior Divine Predictor. Chu Kuangren dared not delay and immediately stepped forward to greet him. Oh, you already know who I am even before I tell you my identity. Could it be that Junior Chu also has the ability to predict the future? The divine predictor said in surprise. Senior, you must be joking. Everyone in Firmament Star knows about you, so it's not surprising that I know about you. May I know why you're looking for me, Senior? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. I'm just curious. The divine predictor no longer cared about how Chu Kuangren knew about him. Chapter 111. Curious. Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. I've traveled the world and seen all kinds of people. There are emperors, talented generals, and even sky prides. I ask myself, no matter who it is in front of me, even if it's that high and mighty saint, I can still see through it. However, you're an exception. At that, the divine predictor stared at Chu Kuangren with uncontrollable curiosity. You're an anomaly. I can't see your past or future. It's as if you don't exist in the river of time. It's too strange. Chu Kuangren frowned. He did not exist in the river of time? Was it because he was not a person of this world? Chu Kuangren had a strange feeling when he thought of that. I wonder if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. The divine predictor shook his head. But if I can't find your existence in the river of time, then all the Tao of divination will be useless to you. In a way, you don't have to worry that someone will use this against you. I guess this is a good thing. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded and did not think too much about it. Since he was already here, he might as well make the best of it. Things like the river of time and karma were too difficult for him to comprehend. Thinking too much would hurt his head, so he might as well not think about it at all. Lan Yu, prepare some tea for our senior. Yes. Lan Yu poured a cup of tea for the divine predictor. The divine predictor glanced at Lan Yu and exclaimed, "This young lady is extraordinary. I'm afraid her future achievements will not be any weaker than the emperors of old." The divine predictor's words shocked the seventh forefather and the other protectors. No weaker than the emperors of old? What did that mean? It meant that she would at least become an emperor. Lan Yu could become an emperor in the future. *CKME. They knew that Lan Yu was talented and would not lose to any sky prides in this world, but they did not expect the divine predictor to praise her like that. Chu Kuangren was surprised too, but he smiled and said, You're indeed my Lan Yu. You must protect me when you become an emperor. Lan Yu nodded seriously. Whether I become an emperor or not, I will always follow you, master. To her, becoming an emperor was secondary. The most important thing was to stay by Chu Kuangren's side. Of course, if she could become an emperor, she would definitely be of great help to her master in the future. Chu Kuangren chuckled and continued his conversation with the divine predictor. Since the divine predictor was a big shot of this era, he would definitely know a lot of secrets. Chu Kuangren would take this opportunity to find out as much as he could. Unfortunately, every time Chu Kuangren asked a crucial question, the other party would tell him that the secrets of the heavens must not be revealed and shut him up. The fortune-teller's words were so vague that it made Chu Kuangren feel depressed. It is fate that brought us together. I will reveal a little bit. Actually, it is not really revealing. After all, this matter will soon be known by the whole world. Oh, please tell me, senior. About half a month later, the great Tao will manifest and give birth to 49 wisps of primordial Emperor's Qi. Those who obtain the Emperor's Qi will be able to increase their chances of becoming an emperor by comprehending the Emperor's Qi. The appearance of the primordial Emperor's Qi also indicates that the era of great battles has begun. Even the ancient geniuses who have been hibernating will awaken one by one. At that time, little friend Chu, I'm afraid you will have a worthy opponent. The divine predictor smiled faintly. The seventh forefather and the others secretly took note of his words and prepared to report back to the orthodoxies. This matter was related to becoming an emperor, so it was too important. I've heard of the primordial Emperor's Qi. Chu Kuangren pondered. If the primordial purple haze was the foundation of becoming a sage, then the primordial Emperor's Qi would be the foundation of becoming an emperor. It was extremely valuable. However, having the primordial Emperor's Qi did not mean that one would definitely become an emperor. It just meant that the chances of becoming an emperor were much higher than cultivators without the primordial Emperor's Qi. No matter what, the Emperor's Qi was much more valuable than the primordial purple haze. A single wisp of primordial purple haze was enough to attract all the orthodoxies to fight for it, let alone the primordial Emperor's Qi. Moreover, there were 49 of them. The era of great battles was too extraordinary. It's my fortune to obtain the Emperor's chi, but it's my fate to lose it. As for the ancient geniuses you mentioned, if they're all like Ao Chang, I'm afraid they're no match for me. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Ao Chang might not even be able to withstand a single attack from him. As for the other ancient sky prides, no matter how strong they were, how strong could they be? As if sensing Chu Kuangren's disdain, the divine predictor said, Ao Chang wasn't the only ancient sky prides. Ao Chang lived 30,000 years ago, and the sky prides back then weren't that much stronger than those of this era. However, the older the sky prides are, the closer they are to the Emperor's era, the more terrifying they are. Back then, they even possessed the complete Emperor's inheritance. Those sky prides are incomparable to the ones we have now. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. Then I'm looking forward to it. I hope it won't disappoint me too much. Although the divine predictor hid a lot of things from Chu Kuangren, the information he revealed was still shocking enough. At least, the seventh forefather and the other protectors were shocked. After sending off the divine predictor, the seventh forefather and the other two walked out from the void. Half a month later, the great Tao will manifest, and 49 streams of Xianhuang Emperor Qi will be born. This is no small matter. We must report this back to the orthodoxy, and let the sect leader and the others prepare early. The seventh forefather said solemnly. All right. Then send a message to Master and the others. Also, tell them that I'll be returning to the Black Heaven sect in a few days. Maniac Chu said. The seventh forefather asked in surprise. Little guy, you're not going to train anymore? No, there's nothing left to train. Chu Kuangren shook his head with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. None of the sky prides in this world can withstand a single sword attack from me. What else is there to train for? The seventh forefather and the other two looked at each other, the corners of their mouths twitching. Perhaps only Chu Kuangren would say something like that. However, no one could refute it. This was especially true now that he had advanced to the battle monarch realm. Putting aside geniuses, even a venerable might not be able to withstand a single strike from him. The seventh forefather felt that it would not be long before Chu Kuangren no longer needed their protection. At that thought, they were extremely shocked. How long had it been since he entered the world? How could he have reached such a level? 2 days later, the demonic onslaught in the northern Lingdao state was almost over. Throughout the process, the cultivators that Chu Kuangren sent out did not encounter any obstacles. Once the news of him slaughtering 100,000 demonic cultivators got out, not just the northern Lingdao state, but every demonic cultivator in the world was scared out of their wits. Who would dare to come to the northern Lingdao state? As for those who were still in the northern Lingdao state, they wished that their parents had given them an extra pair of legs so that they could leave this place as soon as possible. Slaughtering 100,000 demonic cultivators? Was this something that a young junior could do? This is too scary. This Chu Kuangren is too scary. D***it, we can't stay in this state any longer. This demonic onslaught was basically solved by Chu Kuangren alone. What a monster! The demonic cultivators were terrified, the righteous cultivators were in awe, and the common people respected Chu Kuangren as if he was a god. Even in Mountain River City, some scholars had begun to write books about Chu Kuangren. As for the mountain range where Chu Kuangren slaughtered 100,000 demonic cultivators, many people called it the Weeping Demon Mountain. It meant the place where the demonic cultivators cried. Some people in the later generations had read about it. Chapter 112. In the Black Heaven sect, Honorable Xianqi and the others had long received news of Chu Kuangren's impending return, so they were waiting for him with a group of elders. Apart from them, the 100,000 disciples of the Black Heaven sect were also looking forward to it. Say, eldest senior brother has only been in the world for less than half a year. How can he be back so soon? This is way too fast. What kind of person is eldest senior brother? Although he's only been in the world for half a year, he's already known to the world. Why would he still need to train? That's true. Eldest senior brother is really amazing. Yes, too strong. I'm so looking forward to it. I just joined the Black Heaven sect and haven't seen eldest senior brother yet. I really don't know what he looks like. Little junior sister, I guarantee that after you meet eldest senior brother, no other man will be able to enter your eyes. The disciples discussed fervently as they looked in the direction of the Black Heaven Sect's mountain gate. Gradually, a black dot approached from afar. Upon closer inspection, it was a group of immortal boats. The ferry boat stopped in front of the Black Heaven Sect's mountain gate. A white-robed young man walked down from the leading ferry boat, followed by a lady in a long skirt. These two people were Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. As for the other ferry boats, they were carrying Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others who had gone to northern Lingdao to eliminate the demonic onslaught. Now they had returned triumphantly. Eldest senior brother has returned. Heavens, eldest senior brother really has the bearing of an immortal. Eldest brother, I love you. Some of the disciples who had just joined the Black Heaven sect saw Chu Kuangren for the first time, and they were all amazed and mesmerized by him. When the other disciples saw this, their expressions were as if they had expected it. Welcome, eldest senior brother. Taoist Junie walked out and said loudly with cupped hands. When the others saw this, they quickly followed suit and bowed. Welcome, eldest senior brother. Welcome, eldest senior brother. Welcome, eldest brother. All of a sudden, 100,000 disciples cheered in unison. Their voices were so loud that it could even be heard in the clouds. It was evident that Chu Kuangren's prestige in the Black Heaven sect was high. Chu Kuangren smiled at the crowd before he walked up to Honorable Xian Qi, Elder Ruyan, and the others and greeted them with a fist salute. Greetings, Master Elder. Kuangren, you don't have to be so courteous. You've worked hard on this trip to the northern Lingdao state to slay demons and defend the righteous path. Honorable Xian Qi stepped forward and said in a gratified manner. He had heard about Chu Kuangren slaughtering 100,000 demonic cultivators. Even among the honorable cultivators of the older generation, there were not many who could achieve such a feat. It must be said that although Chu Kuangren was still young, the things that he had done had already surpassed most of the cultivators in the world. It's nothing. It's part of my job. Chu Kuangren chuckled. His trip to the northern Lingdao state, whether it was killing 100,000 demonic cultivators to break through to the battle monarch realm, obtaining the demonic spear of apocalypse, or increasing the prestige of the Black Heaven sect, it was a worthwhile trip for him. After a welcoming ceremony, Honorable Xian Qi pulled Chu Kuangren aside and said, "What do you think about the primordial emperor's essence?" The seventh forefather had already informed Honorable Xian Qi about what Tianjizi had told him. The primordial emperor's essence is similar to the primordial purple qi. It's a treasure that can help one become an emperor. However, just like the primordial purple qi, relying on it to become an emperor is the lowest tier in the emperor realm. But that's still an emperor. Honorable Xian Qi was amazed. An emperor? There hasn't been an emperor for 150,000 years, but why do I feel like you don't care about it at all? Chu Kuangren shrugged and said innocently, "Honorable teacher, you said it yourself. That's an emperor we're talking about. How could I not care about it? It's just that I don't want to rely on the primordial emperor's essence to become an emperor." You're confident that you can become an emperor by yourself? This is an era where the great Dharma emergence takes place. Most of the emperors of old became emperors with their own strength, so why can't I do the same? Ha, Kuangren, it's great that you have the courage to compete with the emperors of old, but the primordial emperor's essence is also a rare treasure that you must fight for. Even if you take 10,000 steps back, this is still a way out, isn't it? Honorable Xian Qi laughed. It was not that he did not believe in Chu Kuangren, but it was too difficult for him to become an emperor by himself. Although it was the great Dharma emergence, if he did not succeed, the primordial emperor's essence would ensure that he would not fall behind. Fight for it? I didn't say that I won't fight for it, Chu Kuangren said. Although he did not plan to rely on the primordial emperor's essence, it was still a good choice to take back such a treasure, be it for his collection or for others to use. By the way, honorable teacher, I plan to go into closed-door meditation for a while. Alright, go ahead. You've just broken through to the battle monarch realm not too long ago, so you do need to go into closed-door meditation to stabilize your cultivation. Honorable Xian Qi did not mind. He felt that with Chu Kuangren's ability, he would be able to stabilize his cultivation in a few days. However, he did not know that. Chu Kuangren's closed-door meditation this time was not to stabilize his cultivation, but to gain insight into the Eternal Emperor scripture that he had obtained a few days ago. Inside the towering Heaven Palace, Lil Bing was ecstatic to see Chu Kuangren. "Master, you're finally back. Lil Bing missed you so much." "Oh, Lil Bing, you've improved quite a bit." Chu Kuangren noticed that Lil Bing's cultivation level had reached the nascent soul realm. Even among the true disciples, she would be a top-notch expert. After all, when she first arrived, she was not even a golden core realm cultivator. "This is all thanks to the spiritual gathering formation in the Taoist palace. Otherwise, I wouldn't have improved so quickly," Lil Bing said. "It's all thanks to your own hard work." Chu Kuangren laughed. After catching up with Lil Bing for a while, he went into closed-door meditation. Inside the Taoist palace's room, Chu Kuangren took out a light yellow thread-bound ancient book. There was a faint Taoist rhyme on the book, and the words "Eternal Emperor Scripture" were written on it. An emperor's aura roared out. How terrifying! It was just a thin booklet, but Chu Kuangren felt like it weighed millions of pounds, as if he was carrying a mountain. The emperor's aura put Chu Kuangren's Taoist core under unimaginable pressure, and he could not help but want to kneel and kowtow. F***ck me, without a certain level of strength, I'm afraid it's difficult to even read this emperor's scripture. Chu Kuangren channeled his spiritual power, and the 5 supreme foundation levels in his spiritual mound all radiated with divine light to resist the aura. After a while, Chu Kuangren gradually familiarized himself with the aura, and he used all his strength to flip to the first page of the emperor's scripture. In an instant, countless mysterious characters came into view and intertwined in Chu Kuangren's mind, forming into a white-robed young man with dashing eyebrows and starry eyes. His body emanated an endless emperor's aura. The young man's lips opened and closed as if he was chanting some kind of wisdom. A strange epiphany appeared in Chu Kuangren's mind. At that moment, his understanding of the Tao was rising crazily. He knew that the person in front of him was the eternal emperor, and the words he was chanting were the emperor's Tao epiphany. This was a great opportunity for any cultivator who had yet to become an emperor. Chu Kuangren dared not delay and immersed himself in his Tao epiphany. Taoist cultivators did not know the passage of time. Soon half a month had gone by. While Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation to understand the emperor's scripture, a series of major events happened in Firmament Star. All over Firmament Star, there were earthquakes, tsunamis, and natural disasters of varying degrees. The ancient sky prides who were in deep slumber had finally awakened in this great Dharma emergence era. Chapter 113. Boom! The ground quaked and a mountain range cracked open. Rays of light shot out from the crack, and a green-robed figure walked out from it. Waves of mysterious Taoist rhymes flowed around his body. Is this the era of the great Tao emergence? As expected, it's much easier to gain insights into Taoism than it was during my era. The spiritual qi here is abundant too. I must become an emperor in this life, the green-robed figure said with great pride. Amidst the turbulent sea, a water column suddenly shot up into the sky. A black-haired man clad in scaled armor emerged from the water column. He held a trident in his hand, and his entire body was surging with Taoist rhymes. Haha, the great Tao emergence, the era of great battles. Sky prides, I'll be waiting for you. The man let out a long roar, and the surrounding seawater rumbled. On an altar, countless Thunder Falcon tribe cultivators were kneeling on the ground. In front of them was a black coffin. The coffin was engraved with mysterious runes. Suddenly, the coffin trembled and exploded with a loud bang. A large amount of lightning energy erupted and danced about in the air with a terrifying momentum. Greetings, forefather. Greetings, forefather. The Thunder Falcon tribe cultivators cheered. When the dust settled, a white-robed, blue-haired young man walked out of the coffin. When his eyes opened and closed, tiny arcs of electricity could be seen dancing in them. I finally arrived at this era. With the revival of the ancient sky prides, the Firmament Star had officially begun the era of great battles. On the 15th day after Chu Kuangren went into closed-door meditation, a golden chi soared into the sky from one of the mountain peaks in the Azure Dragon domain, accompanied by a mysterious Taoist rhyme that reverberated in the heavens. Golden lotuses sprouted from the ground and formed a series of transformations. That was the phenomenon brought about by the appearance of the primordial emperor's essence. In an instant, the entire Azure Dragon domain and even Firmament Star fell into an unprecedented frenzy. All the orthodoxies went to fight for the emperor's essence. In the end, the emperor's essence was obtained by the ancient sky pride of the Thunder Falcon tribe, and he was crowned as the new young emperor. In the following days, the 49 primordial emperor's essences that the divine predictor predicted appeared one by one. Countless sky prides, be it from the present or the past, joined the battle for the emperor's essence. Prodigies from all walks of life shone like stars in the sky, each having their own glory. Ao Chang from the sacred lands of serene wisdom, Princess Linglong from the royal Azure dynasty, Gu Chang'e Lin Batian from the Jiang Valley, Wu Qinzi from the Taishu temple, the ancient prodigies Haidong Lin Qingshan. One after another, sky prides obtained the emperor's essence and became the new generation of young emperors. As for the older generation of young emperors, unless they could obtain the primordial emperor's essence, their names would be removed and they would be eliminated by time. Time passed. 3 years had passed. Within these 3 years, the entire firmament star had changed drastically due to the awakening of the ancient sky prides and the appearance of the primordial emperor's essence. The new generation of prodigy young emperors' names spread far and wide. As for Chu Kuangren, who had shocked the world 3 years ago, it was as if he had been forgotten by everyone. Gradually, no one mentioned him anymore. He had been in seclusion for 3 years, and there had been no news from him. The 49 wisps of primordial emperor's essence had been obtained by others one by one, and he had never come out to fight for them. Everyone thought this heaven's favorite, who shone so brightly 3 years ago, had been eliminated by the times. This person would no longer appear on the emperor's road. Instead, the most noteworthy person was his follower Lan Yu. This woman was extremely talented. She had once appeared when the primordial emperor's essences appeared one after another, and she had single-handedly obtained an emperor's essence. There was a place for her among the current young emperors. At the beginning of the era of great battles, the divine predictor had once commented on the various sky prides, and he had once said this about Lan Yu: she was a peerless talent, and her future achievements would not be any weaker than the emperors of old. Just that one sentence alone made Lan Yu known to the world. Even those ancient sky prides with unparalleled combat strength could not overshadow her. Not any weaker than the emperors of old? What kind of concept was that? In a literal sense, it meant that Lan Yu could at least become an emperor. After all, even with the help of the primordial emperor's essence, the current young emperors did not have the confidence to become emperors in the future. The divine predictor's comment was too high. However, after obtaining the emperor's essence, Lan Yu did not make any more movements. She stayed in the Black Heaven sect, and no one had seen her again. Black Heaven sect, Towering Heaven Palace. Lan Yu sat under a large tree with a calm expression. Occasionally, she would glance at the house next to her with a look of longing. Beside her, Lil Bing rubbed her chin and said, "Sister Lan Yu, Master has been in seclusion for 3 years now. When will he come out?" "I don't know." Lan Yu shook her head. "By the way, Sister Lan Yu, I heard that a few days ago, the young emperor of the winged human tribe came to look for you again and asked you to return. What did you say?" Lil Bing suddenly asked curiously. "I didn't agree. Only the place where Master lives is worthy of my return. As for the winged human tribe, I have nothing to do with them other than this identity." Lan Yu frowned slightly. The winged human tribe was a tribe in the Azure Dragon domain. In terms of strength, they were not that outstanding, and they were much weaker than the sage orthodoxies. However, 3 years ago, the winged human tribe awakened an ancient winged human sky pride from a deep slumber, and they even obtained an emperor's essence. Aside from that, when Lan Yu's name was known throughout the world, her identity as a winged human was also known to everyone. The people of the winged human tribe once came to the Black Heaven sect to bring her back, but she rejected them outright. Even so, the winged human tribe did not give up. Every few days, they would send people to the Black Heaven sect to persuade Lan Yu to return. If only Master was here. I'm sure he would have a way to stop you from worrying so much. Lil Bing sighed and said, "If Master doesn't come out soon, the whole world will forget about him." Nowadays, all the new disciples who have joined the Black Heaven sect are talking about those young emperors. When they mention our Master, they'll forget about him in just a few words. When Master was at his prime, they didn't even know where he was. Lil Bing suddenly said angrily. Every time she heard people say that Chu Kuangren was outdated, she would argue with them. However, no matter how much she argued, it was an undeniable fact that Chu Kuangren's reputation was getting lower and lower. In the Black Heaven sect, other than the new disciples, most people still remembered their elder senior brother. However, in the outside world, Chu Kuangren's name had almost disappeared. The times had changed too quickly. Today, it was either this Sky Pride defeating an honorable or another Sky Pride breaking through to the next realm. Under the bombardment of such news, the things that Chu Kuangren had done 3 years ago were rarely mentioned by others. Ignore the others. We just need to remember it. Besides, when Master comes out of his closed-door meditation, the whole world will remember him too. Lan Yu smiled faintly with a determined look in her eyes. She believed that it was only temporary. Once Chu Kuangren came out of his closed-door meditation, the whole world would remember him sooner or later. There was once such a person who suppressed all the Sky Prides in the world. At that moment there was a commotion in the house next door. A powerful Taoist rhyme soared into the sky. The whole Black Heaven sect was shaken, and the Sword Mountain let out a series of sword cries. Everyone looked in the direction of the towering Heaven Palace. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the other Taoists were overjoyed. Chapter 114. Terrifying Taoist rhymes emanated from the towering Heaven Palace. Inside the Black Heaven Sword Mountain, tens of thousands of swords let out a roar and soared into the sky as if they were welcoming the awakening of the God of Swords. All the Black Heaven sect disciples were shocked. The new disciples did not know what was going on, but the older disciples were all excited as they looked in the direction of the towering Heaven Palace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, streams of light flew across the sky. Those are the true disciples. No, not just the true disciples, there are Taoists too. Oh my God, isn't that the sect leader and the others? The entire Black Heaven sect was shocked. The true disciples, Taoists, and even the sect leader and elders were all shocked as they flew in the direction of the towering Heaven Palace. The new disciples were shocked to see such a scene. What the hell is going on? A disciple said in bewilderment. Next to him, a disciple who had been in the Black Heaven sect for decades smiled and said, "Because our elder senior brother has come out of closed-door meditation." The new disciple asked curiously, "The legendary Chu Kuangren?" "Yes." "No way, even if Chu Kuangren is our elder senior brother, it doesn't matter if he's out of closed-door meditation. Is there a need to make such a big scene?" "Ha, you'll understand in the future." The older disciple laughed. "No, elder senior brother has come out of closed-door meditation. I have to go and see too." At that moment, a female cultivator could not hold back anymore. With that, the rest of the female cultivators also flew in the direction of the Taoist palace. Most of them were ecstatic and excited. Elder senior brother has finally come out of closed-door meditation. This is great. It's been 3 years, a full 3 years. A day without seeing him feels like 3 autumns, let alone 3 years. I finally waited for him to come out. Sob sob, elder senior brother, I'm here. I can finally see elder senior brother's peerless beauty again. Looking at the group of female cultivators who seemed to have gone crazy, some disciples looked at each other in disbelief. Was Chu Kuangren really that charismatic? Inside the towering Heaven Palace, Honorable Xianqi, Elder Ruyan, and the others had arrived. Behind them were a group of true disciples and Taoists. Everyone sensed the soaring Taoist rhyme in the palace and could not help but be amazed. Honorable Xianqi was especially amazed. This sword-based Taoist rhyme is already above mine. Honorable Xianqi's words shocked the disciples behind him. After all, Honorable Xianqi and Honorable Swordsman White Cloud were known as the Azure Dragon Dual Swords. They were the 2 pinnacle swordsmen of the Azure Dragon domain. After the death of Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, no one would object to the claim that Honorable Xianqi was the #1 swordsman in the Azure Dragon domain. However, he claimed that Chu Kuangren's sword-based Taoist rhyme had surpassed his. As expected of eldest senior brother, Nangong Huang's face was filled with admiration. The other disciples looked at each other. When they remembered that this person was their eldest senior brother, they didn't feel so shocked anymore. Yes, eldest senior brother had done so many earth-shattering things in the past, so what was so strange about his sword Taoist rhyme surpassing the sect leader now? The Taoist rhyme lingered in the sky for a while. Then, the door of a room in the Taoist palace opened with a creak, and a young man in a white robe slowly walked out. His white robe was still spotless, and he wore a jade crown on his head. His black hair reached his waist, and his eyes were as bright as stars. "Master!" Lan Yu and Lil Bing greeted him excitedly. In the sky, the group of true disciples and the disciples who had just arrived were all excited and shouted in unison when they saw him. "Welcome back, eldest senior brother! Welcome back, eldest senior brother!" When some of the new disciples saw Chu Kuangren, they couldn't help but be impressed by his looks, but they were still a little puzzled. Did he really have that kind of charm just based on his looks? Did he make the Black Heaven sect and even the sect leader and elders value him so much? Even Honorable Xianqi might not have such prestige. Inside the Taoist palace, Chu Kuangren cupped his fists at the people in the sky and smiled. "Junior brothers and sisters, long time no see." Honorable Xianqi came in front of him and laughed. "You've been in closed-door meditation for 3 whole years. Do you know how many things you've missed in these 3 years? Everyone has forgotten about you now." Chu Kuangren smiled casually. "No worries, I'll just make them remember when the time comes. Tell me, what have you learned in these 3 years? Honorable Xianqi did not believe that Chu Kuangren would go into closed-door meditation for 3 years for no reason. "Yes, I've learned a little." Chu Kuangren smiled and nodded. In fact, he did not expect to go into closed-door meditation for 3 years. The Eternal Emperor scripture was too mysterious. He was immersed in it, and before he knew it, 3 years had gone by. However, his gains were also very big. The first was the level of his Tao techniques. Although he had yet to fully understand the Eternal Emperor scripture, his Tao techniques had a substantial breakthrough, far surpassing his previous closed-door meditation. He believed that if he was given some time, he could raise the heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique to the level of an emperor technique. When that time came, his single sword destruction technique would be considered complete. "I'm afraid it's not as simple as just a little." How could Honorable Xianqi not understand Chu Kuangren? After 3 years of closed-door meditation, how could it be described as just a little? That Taoist rhyme alone made his heart palpitate. However, Chu Kuangren was still his disciple, so the stronger he was, the more comforted he was. Hence, he did not pursue the matter. After Chu Kuangren came out of his closed-door meditation, he reminisced with the crowd. In the towering heaven palace, Chu Kuangren, Murongxian, Nangong Huang, and the others gathered to discuss the recent happenings. Chu Kuangren also took the opportunity to understand the situation of the world. After 3 years of closed-door meditation, the changes were indeed huge. Now the world was filled with sky prides from all walks of life, and it was extremely exciting. The changes in Firmament Star are unprecedented. The appearance of 49 surges of primordial emperor's essences has created 38 young emperors. Among them, the Black Warrior Domain's Overlord Sage Tribe's young emperor is the most outstanding. He alone has 3 emperor's essences, and he's known as the most promising sky pride to become an emperor. Besides these 38 young emperors, there are also some ancient sky prides who did not obtain the emperor's essences, but their combat strength and talent are still very outstanding. Among them, the 10 unparalleled heroes are the most famous. Nangong Huang said slowly. What about the strong cultivators of the older generation? Aren't they tempted by the appearance of the emperor's essences? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. Yes, there was once an honorable who tried to fight for the emperor's essences, but he was killed by a sage with just a finger. Nangong Huang's tone was still a little shocked when he mentioned this. An honorable was an extremely powerful existence to them, but in front of a sage, they were as insignificant as ants. The sages seemed to have reached some kind of agreement to not allow cultivators above the honorable realm to fight for the emperor's essences. I heard from the sect leader that the opportunity to become an emperor does not lie with the sages, Murongxian said with a frown. He still could not understand what that meant. Chu Kuangren was deep in thought. When he was studying the emperor's scripture, he had a very clear understanding of the Tao in the world. He vaguely came into contact with some heavenly mysteries that only sages could perceive. That was, the luck of this era did not lie with the sages, but with the younger sky prides. If there was someone who could become an emperor in this era, that person would definitely be one of the younger sky prides. Perhaps that was the reason why the sages did not fight for the emperor's essences. Even if they obtained the emperor's essences, they would not be able to become emperors. Chapter 115. After catching up with Nangong Huang and the others, Chu Kuangren had a general understanding of the current firmament star. After everyone had left, Lan Yu showed him an item. This is the primordial emperor's essence? Chu Kuangren was shocked to see the golden aura in Lan Yu's hand. This primordial emperor's essence was very mysterious. It was surrounded by mysterious runes, and one could vaguely hear Taoist rhymes echoing in their ears. If other cultivators saw this emperor's essence, they would be extremely excited and shocked by the Taoist rhymes it contained. However, other than the initial shock, Chu Kuangren's gaze remained calm as if he did not care about it at all. The Taoist rhymes in this emperor's essence were much weaker than those in the emperor's scripture. The primordial emperor's essence could only increase a cultivator's chances of becoming an emperor, but the eternal emperor's scripture was written by an emperor's lifetime achievement. It was much more valuable than the primordial emperor's essence. If the primordial emperor's essence was considered a legendary item, then it would be the most common legendary item. The eternal emperor's scripture, on the other hand, was a top-tier legendary item. Lan Yu, are you giving me the emperor's essence? Chu Kuangren smiled at Lan Yu. Yes. This is the primordial emperor's essence. Although it could not compare to the emperor's scripture, this primordial emperor's essence was enough to make all orthodoxies go crazy. One emperor's essence was enough to create a young emperor. Not a young emperor like Lei Ao or Shang Han, but a young great emperor who had the potential to become an emperor. Everything I have, including myself, belongs to you, master. If you want it, I can give it to you, Lan Yu said seriously. Her original intention of stealing the primordial emperor's essence was for Chu Kuangren. She thought that her master might need it, so she took it. I don't need it. You can keep it for yourself. Chu Kuangren reached out and ruffled Lan Yu's hair with a hint of pity in his eyes. Lan Yu blushed and nodded. Since you've taken the emperor's essence, you should find a time to merge it with it. Since I'm out of my closed-door meditation, let me protect you. Thank you, master. The news of Chu Kuangren coming out of his closed-door meditation had spread throughout the entire Black Heaven sect. Within a few days, every orthodoxy in the Azure Dragon domain had heard about it as well. In Xiang Valley, a purple-haired young man was holding a communication compass in his hand. He had just received news that Chu Kuangren had come out of his closed-door meditation. He smiled, and a hint of coldness shot out from his eyes. Chu Kuangren, you're finally out. Times are different now. I'll let you see how you've been eliminated by this era. Spirit Illusion Holy Land. Ao Chang, who had received news of Chu Kuangren, laughed out loud with an ecstatic expression on his face. Chu Kuangren, you've finally appeared. 3 years ago, I will definitely return the humiliation you brought me. Just you wait. His whole body surged with majestic spiritual power, and his palm blasted out like a great sun, shattering a mountain in the distance on the spot. My current self is far stronger than when I was at my peak. I'm confident that I can even take on an honorable, let alone someone like you, Chu Kuangren. In the Royal Azure Dynasty, Crown Prince Guchanga was talking to the Royal Azure Dynasty king. Father, Chu Kuangren has been in closed-door meditation for 3 years. If it were in the past, it wouldn't be a big deal, but these 3 years have changed too much. The ancient sky prides and the primordial emperor's essences have all appeared, and he has long been eliminated by this era. He's no longer suitable to be the fiancé of the Royal Azure Dynasty. Father, please allow me to bring some people to the Black Heaven sect to cancel the engagement. Guchanga could not suppress the excitement in his eyes. He could not wait to humiliate Chu Kuangren, who said anything about canceling the engagement. At that moment, Princess Linglong, who was dressed in a gorgeous phoenix robe, walked into the hall. Her beautiful face was covered with a layer of frost. Guchanga frowned. Linglong, you're not only the princess of the Royal Azure Dynasty, but you're also a famous young emperor. That Chu Kuangren is no longer suitable for you. Canceling the engagement is the wisest choice. Brother, this is my business. It's not up to you to decide. Besides, marriage is not a child's play. Do you think it's so easy to cancel it? Back then, when I held the martial arts competition and cancelled it midway, I've already broken my promise to the world. Now that I've chosen Chu Kuangren as the fiancé, everyone knows about it. Now that I see him in such dire straits, how do you expect the world to see me? Are you heartless and untrustworthy, or are you just a man? Towards the end of her sentence, Princess Linglong was almost shouting angrily. Gu Chang'e was almost at a loss for words after being questioned by her. His face turned pale. How dare you? I'm your brother. If you weren't my brother, I wouldn't be here questioning you. I would have taken you down a long time ago, Princess Linglong said coldly. You. All right, both of you shut up. The royal Azure Dynasty king stopped the two of them and said, whether or not to cancel the engagement is entirely up to Linglong. She's not wrong. If she were to cancel the engagement now, it would not only affect her reputation, but also the reputation of the dynasty. Let's drop this matter. There's no need to discuss it anymore. Chu Kuangren is still the fiancé of the royal Azure Dynasty. Now that he's out of closed-door meditation, Crown Prince, prepare some gifts to congratulate him. Although Gu Chang'e was unwilling, his eyes lit up when he heard that the royal Azure Dynasty king wanted him to go to the Black Heaven sect. Yes, father. Beside him, Princess Linglong said, I'll go too. Granted. Thank you, father. Chu Kuangren, who had disappeared for 3 years, had reappeared in the world. This news shocked countless cultivators in the Azure Dragon domain. Following that, there were rumors that Ao Chang from the Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, Lin Batian from the Jiang Valley, Yuan Hong from the Dharma sect, Wu Chenzi from the Taishu Temple, and Gu Chang'e from the Royal Azure Dynasty were heading to the Black Heaven sect. All of a sudden, the cultivators in the Azure Dragon domain were in an uproar. These Sky Prides are all young emperors who obtained the Emperor's essence in the past 3 years. What are they doing at the Black Heaven sect now? Needless to say, of course they're going to look for Chu Kuangren. TSK 3 years ago, Chu Kuangren suppressed these Sky Prides to the point where they could not even lift their heads. Now that these people have obtained the primordial Emperor's essence and become world-renowned young emperors, of course they're going to take revenge. I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. 3 years ago, the world belonged to Chu Kuangren alone. Everyone says that in the era of great battles, the stars will shine brightly, but he alone was like a blazing sun that overshadowed everyone else's light. How could these Sky Prides take this lying down? What a pity. If Chu Kuangren did not go into closed-door meditation, he would definitely have a share of the primordial Emperor's essence. With his talent, he could have continued to suppress everyone else, but he just had to go into closed-door meditation at such a crucial time. I really can't understand why. Nothing is constant. Who would have thought that? After 3 years of closed-door meditation, he's already leading the world. Honestly, based on this alone, none of the young emperors who went to look for him can compare to him. The entire Azure Dragon domain was filled with rumors and discussions. Everyone had their eyes on the Black Heaven sect. Everyone wanted to see how Chu Kuangren, who had declared war on the world 3 years ago and suppressed all the Sky Prides to the point where they could not even lift their heads, would deal with this. Chapter 116. Black Heaven Sect, Towering Heaven Palace. Lan Yu was integrating the primordial Emperor's essence while Chu Kuangren stood guard outside to test Lil Bing's cultivation progress over the past few years. Although Lil Bing was only an outer sect disciple, she was considered quite talented among cultivators. Otherwise, she would not have entered the Black Heaven sect. Over the past few years, with the help of Towering Heaven Palace's spirit gathering formation and various resources, she had improved rapidly and was not far from the Paradise realm. She would be a Taoist in any orthodoxy. Your waterfall sword art is not bad, but it's still lacking a little. Come watch me. Chu Kuangren unleashed his Taoist rhyme, and a silvery white waterfall suddenly formed in the void. The sword-based Taoist rhyme was extremely mysterious. Lil Bing watched from the side and could not help but exclaim, "That's amazing." She had seen several elders use the waterfall sword art before, but even they were not as skilled as Chu Kuangren. It was as natural as moving clouds and flowing water. Under Chu Kuangren's guidance, Lil Bing improved rapidly. "All right, go to the side and practice," Chu Kuangren said. Chu Kuangren leaned against the tree and muttered the fantasy roulette in his heart. Looking at the familiar roulette in front of him, his heart ached. It had been 3 years. He had been in closed-door meditation for 3 years. He had been so engrossed in the Emperor's scripture that he had not even played the lottery once. In the 365 days of a year, he had missed more than 1,000 lottery draws. How many treasures had he missed out on? Lottery draw. The roulette spun quickly. Congratulations, host, for drawing a supreme godly attribute, Lucky Halo. His Chu Kuangren gasped in shock. He felt dizzy. What did he just hear? Supreme godly? F***ck. When he drew 10 consecutive lucky draws, he was at most a supreme godly attribute. Now it had given him a supreme godly attribute. Could it be that the fantasy roulette had malfunctioned? Or could it be that his accumulated luck had exploded after 3 years of not playing the lottery draw? Lil Bing, come here. Chu Kuangren called Lil Bing over and pinched her face. Does it hurt? Yes. Lil Bing looked at Chu Kuangren pitifully. Then I'm not dreaming. Chu Kuangren loosened his grip and rubbed Lil Bing's face. Alright, go back to your training. Young master is so annoying. Lil Bing stomped her feet and snorted arrogantly. Chu Kuangren laughed foolishly on the spot for a while before he retrieved his lucky halo. He did not feel any changes at all. According to the introduction, the lucky halo could give a person extraordinary luck. In other words, he could turn misfortune into fortune and misfortune into fortune. He could even encounter a divine beast that recognized him as its master, pick up a fire stick that could be a peerless godly weapon, and buy another bottle of drink to Chu Kuangren. This would definitely be very useful. After all, luck was what he relied on to win the lottery. With this halo, his luck would be off the charts. Just as Chu Kuangren was fantasizing about how lucky he was, a powerful surge of Taoist rhyme erupted from Lan Yu's room. Rays of white light converged in the air, and a vast sacred radiant intent emanated. Soon after, a white crown condensed. Within the crown, Tao beads condensed one after another. It was actually a supreme foundation, the 9-pearl crown. This phenomenon startled many people in the Black Heaven sect. This is a supreme foundation. This aura belongs to Lady Lan Yu. She has broken through to the Battle Monarch realm and even condensed the 9-pearl crown. How extraordinary! It seems that the divine predictor's evaluation was right. This woman is indeed a peerless beauty. Her future achievements will not be any weaker than the emperors of old. The phenomenon lasted for a while. Then, the phenomenon dissipated and Lan Yu walked out. Master. Lan Yu, congratulations on successfully integrating the primordial emperor's essence, breaking through to the Battle Monarch realm, and condensing the 9-pearl crown. Chu Kuangren went up to congratulate her. Lan Yu smiled. I guess it was all luck. When I was integrating the primordial emperor's essence, I suddenly felt something and tried to break through to the Battle Monarch realm. Initially, the foundation I condensed was only the 7-pearl crown. However, at the critical moment, a powerful force appeared in my body and helped me condense the 9-pearl crown. Later on, I found out that it was the power of the scepter of light in my body. It must have been affected by the primordial emperor's essence, and this sage ruler weapon regained some of its power. The scepter of light was a sage ruler weapon that Chu Kuangren had obtained from Yuan Ling's treasury. However, due to the impact of a mysterious battle, it was downgraded to an ordinary sage weapon. He did not expect it to be so useful to Lan Yu today, helping her to condense a supreme foundation. Speaking of which, this is all because of my good luck. If not for my holy radiant physique, the scepter of light, and the primordial emperor's essence, I wouldn't have been able to condense this 9-pearl crown, Lan Yu said. Luck? Chu Kuangren's eyes suddenly lit up. He had just drawn the lucky halo. Could it be that this lucky halo not only had an effect on him, but it could also enhance the luck of those around him? Could this be the legendary getting lucky? At that thought, Chu Kuangren was overjoyed. He had not drawn the lottery for 3 years, but this time he had drawn a grand prize. The next day, after Chu Kuangren washed up, he opened the lucky draw roulette and began to draw as usual. He rubbed his palms together, his eyes filled with anticipation. It was time to test his luck. In that case, what was the use of the so-called lucky halo? Congratulations, host. You've drawn the Starlight technique, Phantom Light Strike. Starlight? The smile on Chu Kuangren's face grew wider and wider until he finally laughed out loud. Waha, it's true. I've really become the king of luck. Outside the door, Lan Yu was just about to knock on the door when she heard Chu Kuangren's laughter. She hesitated for a moment and decided to call him master later. After a while, the laughter gradually stopped. With a creak, the room door opened. Master! Lan Yu, how long have you been here? Chu Kuangren was a little embarrassed. Did she hear him laughing like an idiot in the room just now? How awkward would that be? Lan Yu smiled faintly. Just arrived. Since Master did not want others to notice his weird behavior, she decided to leave him some face. Ahem, that's good. Is there anything? Chu Kuangren asked. Someone has come to visit. It's Guchanga and Princess Linglong from the Royal Azure Dynasty, Lan Yu said. Oh, it's them. Chu Kuangren was quite surprised. Then let's go meet them. After all, I'm the fiancé of the Royal Azure Dynasty. Xiantian Palace, Longevity Hall. The Royal Azure Dynasty's crown prince, Guchanga, and Princess Linglong were both seated with Elder Ruyan personally attending to them. A few disciples beside them curiously looked at them, especially the female cultivators, who gritted their teeth and stared at Princess Linglong. This woman is married to our elder senior brother. Ah, how infuriating. Although they were unhappy, the female cultivators had to admit that Princess Linglong was the cream of the crop among the female cultivators in the firmament star, be it in terms of looks, temperament, qualifications, cultivation level, or status. In everyone's opinion, there were only a few who could compare to her. Elder senior brother is here. At that moment, outside the Longevity Hall, Chu Kuangren arrived with Lan Yu in his wide-sleeved robe. Princess Linglong immediately looked over and a strange look flashed across her eyes. 3 years had passed, but he still did not change at all. He was still as gentle as jade. Dashing in the wind, handsome and unrestrained, ethereal, outstanding, and peerless in his generation. Chapter 117. Chu Kuangren. Seeing Chu Kuangren again after 3 years, Guchanga's eyes lit up as she sized him up from head to toe. It had been 3 years. Ever since he obtained the primordial emperor's essence, he had never slacked off and had been cultivating diligently until now. All of it was to defeat Chu Kuangren one day. Brother Chu, you've been in closed-door meditation for 3 years. How have you been? Guchanga's lips curled up as he greeted Chu Kuangren. However, his tone was playful. His meaning was obvious. He was telling Chu Kuangren that things had changed too quickly in the past 3 years, and it was no longer the time when Chu Kuangren could dominate the world. Yes, it's been 3 years. Things have changed too much, but some people never change. Crown Prince, for example, you're still the same person you are. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Guchanga's face darkened when he heard that. Chu Kuangren, you're too presumptuous. Yes, Crown Prince, your expression makes me feel much better. We don't have to be so polite. Chu Kuangren smiled. You. All right, brother, that's enough. Princess Linglong interrupted Guchanga. She walked towards Chu Kuangren and smiled sweetly. Fiancé, I've specially brought some spiritual nourishing treasures from the palace for your return from closed-door meditation. I hope you'll like them. Chu Kuangren was not used to Princess Linglong calling him fiancé, but he still accepted her kindness with a smile. The few of them sat together and began to chat. However, before they could talk much, Guchanga suddenly said, Chu Kuangren, I believe you've gained a lot from your closed-door meditation. I'd like to challenge you to a duel. Do you dare to accept my challenge? He had been suppressing himself for 3 years, and he could not wait to defeat Chu Kuangren. This was also the reason he came to the Black Heaven sect. I thought you'd have to hold it in for a while longer. I didn't expect you to be so impatient. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Cut the crap. Do you dare to fight me? Sure, I'll fulfill your wish. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. He was never afraid of a battle. Guchanga was delighted when he heard that. He then walked out of the hall and got into a fighting stance, ready to fight. Many disciples gathered around, looking as if they were watching a show. Guchanga is going to compete with eldest brother. This man has the primordial emperor's essence and is the current young emperor. Will elder senior brother be a match for him? You're new, right? You don't know eldest senior brother. 3 years ago, Guchanga couldn't even take one strike from eldest senior brother. Even if he had the primordial emperor's essence, he would at most take a few more strikes. Really? Is eldest senior brother really that powerful? Of course, eldest senior brother has many miraculous abilities. Most of the disciples in the Black Heaven sect were extremely confident in Chu Kuangren, and this made Guchanga, who was at the side, furious. An incredibly powerful Taoist rhyme suddenly exploded from his body. The The spiritual chi condensed into a solid dragon that circled above him and roared. A terrifying dragon might suppress everyone present. Those with slightly weaker cultivations were directly pressed to the ground on the spot. At that moment, a powerful aura erupted from the crowd of disciples and blocked the dragon might. It was Taoist Nangong Huang who had made his move. His eyes were filled with yin and yang qi as he stared at Gu Chang'e and said coldly, "Is this all you can do, Crown Prince?" Gu Chang'e glanced at him. "I'm teaching them what it means to say that trouble comes from the mouth. Don't let them gossip. They're telling the truth. You dare to challenge me, but you won't allow others to speak the truth?" Chu Kuangren said as he walked out. With every step he took, the Taoist rime on his body became stronger, and a white lotus appeared in the void, quietly disintegrating the coercion emanating from Gu Chang'e's body, like the spring wind and rain, nourishing everything silently. Chu Kuangren had mastered the white lotus light of purification to perfection. Gu Chang'e's gaze froze when he saw that. Only then did he come back to his senses. Even if Chu Kuangren did not have the primordial emperor's essence, he was still the world's top sky pride. 3 years ago, he was able to suppress everyone to the point where they could not even lift their heads. Even if the times had changed, he was still not to be underestimated. That's good too. Only then will he be worthy of being defeated by me, Gu Chang'e said with bright eyes. Just when he was about to make his move, a powerful Taoist rhyme fluctuation came from afar and a figure flew towards him. It was a purple-haired young man with colorful flames surging around his body. His Taoist rhyme was domineering like a raging flame. It was the sky pride of Jiang Valley, Lin Batian. "Chu Kuangren can only be defeated by me," Lin Batian said as soon as he appeared and stared at Chu Kuangren. Just like Gu Chang'e, he was also here to challenge Chu Kuangren. "He's mine." Another cold voice echoed in the sky as a figure flew towards them like a meteor and landed on the ground. The ground shook and cracked. Amidst the dust, a black-robed young man walked out with his head held high. It was the young emperor of the Serene Wisdom Sacred Lands, Ao Chang. F***CKME, it's Ao Chang from the Serene Wisdom Sacred Lands, the sky pride from 30,000 years ago and the current young emperor. He's here too. There's also Lin Batian from Jiang Valley. I heard that this person has mastered a type of sacred flame, and his combat strength is unparalleled. Ordinary honorables are no match for him. Even among the young emperors, these two are among the best. I can't believe they're here for elder senior brother too. Look, someone's here again. At that moment, flowers fell from the sky as all kinds of Taoist rhymes appeared. There were wind, fire, mountains, and rivers. A white-robed young man came with the 4 elements of earth, wind, and fire. It was Yuan Hong from the Dharma sect. "Brother Chu, long time no see. I'm here to defeat you today." Yuan Hong's eyes were bright as he made his presence known. "Is there anyone else who's coming? If you don't show yourself now, you won't have the chance anymore." Chu Kuangren looked around and said, "Hey Brother Chu, it's been a while." "Oh, there's someone else." Chu Kuangren looked towards the source of the voice and saw Taishu Temple's Wuchen Zi in a Taoist robe walking towards him. There was an otherworldly aura about him that made him extraordinary. "Brother Wuchen, don't tell me you're here for a duel too. I've learned a lot from my sparring session with you, Brother Chu. Today, I'd like to spar with you again," Wuchen Zi said. Losing to Chu Kuangren in the sparring session had always been a knot in his heart. Today, he was here to untie that knot. "Sai, I guess you'll have to queue up for a while." Chu Kuangren pointed at Gu Chang'e and the others. The Black Heaven sect disciples were dumbfounded. What was going on? Elder senior brother had only come out of closed-door meditation for a few days, yet so many sky prides were here to challenge him? What did elder senior brother do to these people back then? Some of the new disciples were filled with question marks. Far away, Elder Ruyan, Honorable Xian Qi, and the others were watching. "Sect leader, are we just going to let these juniors do whatever they want?" Elder Ruyan frowned and said, "If not for Honorable Xian Qi's permission, Lin Batian and the others would not have been able to enter the Black Heaven sect as they pleased. They would have been thrown out the moment they stepped into the mountain gate. It's fine, let them do whatever they want. Besides, I want to see what level Kuangren has reached." Honorable Xian Qi laughed. Chapter 118. I was here first. Let me be the first to fight him. Gu Chang'e glanced at Ao Chang, Lin Batian, and the others coldly. Ao Chang replied indifferently, "I've already said that he's my prey. Only I can defeat him. You guys will have to queue behind me." "Oh, could it be that before we fight Chu Kuangren, the few of us are going to have another match?" Yuan Hong asked calmly. They all wanted to be the first to defeat Chu Kuangren, and no one would give in. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, smiled playfully and said, "There's no need to go through all that trouble. I have a suggestion." Everyone turned to look at him. He continued, "All of you can come at me together." Ao Chang's eyes flashed with anger upon hearing this. "Chu Kuangren, I can't believe you're still so arrogant even after 3 years. You can no longer do whatever you want in this era. You're outdated," Lin Batian said coldly. Then he raised his hand and channeled his spiritual power. A colorful flame appeared and transformed into a ferocious flaming beast. Compared to 3 years ago, Chu Kuangren was much more proficient in controlling the sacred flame. Moreover, with the primordial emperor's essence in his body, his understanding of Taoist techniques had improved by leaps and bounds. The power of the sacred flame was much stronger than it was 3 years ago. Even an honorable might not be able to block that attack. Chu Kuangren's expression did not change in the face of the sudden attack. However, his body began to blur in the void. The next moment, his entire body seemed to have turned into a ray of light and disappeared on the spot. His speed was so fast that no one could catch him. What technique is that? What a fast movement speed. This Taoist rhyme. I'm afraid it's some kind of sage ruler technique. Lin Batian and the others were shocked. 3 years ago, Chu Kuangren had never displayed such a cultivation technique. Sage ruler technique, phantom light strike. Lin Batian's spiritual thoughts surged as he tried to locate Chu Kuangren. However, an indifferent voice suddenly came from behind him. "Is that all you've improved in the past 3 years?" Behind him, Lin Batian's expression changed as he turned around and unleashed a palm attack. However, another hand was faster than him. Chu Kuangren stretched out his palm and slapped towards Lin Batian's face. In the eyes of the crowd, the palm that was not thick and could even be said to be as fair as jade was like an ancient divine mountain, incomparably majestic. Bang! The slap landed squarely on Lin Batian's face, shattering his saint flame and sending him flying thousands of feet away. Saint technique, human mountain stamp. With Chu Kuangren's current cultivation level, the sage ruler technique could already reach the point where he could summon the strength of a godly mountain with just a wave of his hand. So powerful. Gu Chang'e's pupils shrank slightly. Golden spiritual power flowed around his body, and his dragon vein Taoism form was activated to the extreme. He threw a punch at Chu Kuangren, and the roar of a dragon reverberated through the clouds. Dragon-killing fist. A gigantic golden dragon shadow lunged towards Chu Kuangren with its jaws wide open. The terrifying might cause the void to tremble violently. This trick again. Don't you have any new tricks up your sleeves? Chu Kuangren shook his head as he lifted his right hand and gave it a light clap. The seemingly majestic dragon was directly smashed like a bubble, and its Taoist rhyme and spiritual power completely collapsed. Gu Chang'e almost vomited blood when he saw that. His dragon-killing fist had long reached the full mastery level. It was a sage technique with infinite power. With his current cultivation level, even an honorable would be killed if they were not careful. Yet, Chu Kuangren had easily smashed it into pieces. Was there any justice in this world? As for new tricks? F*CKU. Where did you get so many sage techniques from? After smashing the dragon into pieces, Chu Kuangren's figure once again became illusory. He turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Gu Chang'e almost instantly. Gu Chang'e did not even have time to react. Too fast. That speed was just too fast. Chu Kuangren slowly raised his hand and unleashed another palm attack. The majestic human mountain strength immediately erupted from his palm. Gu Chang'e was hit in the chest, and his protective spiritual power was shattered. His chest almost caved in, and his whole body was blasted away like a cannonball. Waves of air surged in the air, and he was directly smashed into a mountain far away. "That's the second one," Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then, his gaze fell on Yuan Hong of the Dharma sect. Yuan Hong was shocked. He activated his spiritual power and manifested his Taoist rhymes. His feet moved in a mysterious manner, and his speed was as fast as a gust of wind. At the same time, he activated another offensive technique. This technique was all-encompassing and extremely mysterious, and it seemed to contain a natural force within it. Chu Kuangren, you shall be defeated. Yuan Hong attacked Chu Kuangren as he moved. With a palm attack, the earth, wind, water, and fire techniques exploded in the center of his palm. But Chu Kuangren still shattered his opponent's attack with just a light palm attack. How can this guy be so strong? Yuan Hong was extremely shocked. He used his speed to move around Chu Kuangren. You're using the Dharma Sect's Heavenly Windborne technique. This technique is known for its fast movement speed. You've mastered it quite well. Chu Kuangren smiled. Yuan Hong's expression changed slightly. He remembered that Chu Kuangren had learned 8,000 techniques in the Steel Forest in half a day, and learned all the supreme techniques and sage techniques in 16 hours. That was unprecedented. Chu Kuangren knew every technique that Yuan Hong had used. Just as Yuan Hong was reminiscing about the past, a ray of light suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Chu Kuangren, who had caught up to him in the blink of an eye. Your speed is not bad, but can you outrun the speed of light? Phantom Light Strike, Phantom Light Strike. This sage ruler technique was just like its name, it was as fast as a ray of light. What else in this world could be faster than the speed of light? While Yuan Hong was still in shock, Chu Kuangren's palm rapidly enlarged in his eyes before it landed on his face. Just like Guchanga and Lin Batian, Yuan Hong was also sent flying. It's your turn. Chu Kuangren looked at Ao Chang. D***it. Shield of the Mountain God. Ao Chang's expression changed drastically as he activated a sage ruler technique. Majestic spiritual qi gathered in front of him, and a heavy Taoist rhyme formed into a huge mountain. It was a top-notch defensive technique. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the spiritual power within his body. The 5 supreme foundation levels in his spiritual mound radiated with boundless divine light at the same time. The power of the human mountain erupted, and with a single slap, the huge mountain in front of Chu Kuangren shattered. The violent impact landed on Ao Chang, causing his body to tremble and fly out uncontrollably. Beside him, Wu Chenzi gulped as he watched. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren turned into a ray of light and appeared in front of him. He smiled and said, Brother Wuchen, why don't you fly for a while as well? With a single slap, Wu Chenzi was also blasted away. The surrounding Black Heaven sect disciples were dumbfounded. It was too terrifying. Guchanga, Ao Chang, Lin Batian, Yuan Hong, and Wu Chenzi were all young emperors. Any one of them could easily suppress the younger generation of cultivators, but in front of Chu Kuangren, they were as helpless as children. One slap for one. Is this our elder senior brother? He's too powerful. F***CKME, is this our elder senior brother? I love it. Chapter 119. Not far away, Lan Yu watched Chu Kuangren kill a young emperor with a single slap. Her eyes were filled with admiration and fanaticism, like the most devout believer. She knew that no one in this world could compare to the young master. As long as he wanted to, the world would remember him. Beside Lan Yu, Princess Linglong's eyes lit up and she could not help but lick her lips. This was her prince consort. He was indeed undefeatable. As expected of the young master. As expected of the prince consort. The two women said in unison. Then they looked at each other, turned their heads and snorted. In the distance, Honorable Xian Qi, Elder Ruyan, and the others also witnessed this scene. Haha, as expected of my disciple. Even without the primordial emperor's essence, you can still suppress the current generation. Honorable Xian Qi laughed heartily. But where did Kuangren get so many sage ruler techniques? Elder Ruyan frowned slightly, realizing that things were not as simple as they seemed. Sage ruler techniques were extremely rare, and even the Black Heaven sect did not have any of them. However, Chu Kuangren had used almost all of them. This was unbelievable. Kuangren is a man of great fortune. Look, the heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique was also created by him, and the White Lotus Light of Purification was taught by the School of White Lotus. As for the other techniques, he must have had other opportunities as well. Maybe. This child is full of surprises. Elder Ruyan shook her head and stopped thinking about it. All in all, Chu Kuangren was the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect. The more outstanding he was, the better it would be for the Black Heaven sect. Elder senior brother has been in seclusion for 3 years. Even though he missed out on the opportunity to obtain the primordial emperor's essence, he's still able to suppress the young emperor. He's too strong. That's right, as expected of eldest senior brother. Haha, what young emperor? It's just a matter of one palm. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others looked at each other and smiled. They looked at the white-robed figure with fervent gazes. The other disciples were in awe and awe. Chu Kuangren stood where he was with his hands behind his back. A gentle breeze blew past, causing the corners of his clothes to flutter. His peerless beauty was dazzling and mesmerizing. What? You've only improved a little in the past 3 years? Just like that, who gave you the courage to challenge me? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Damn it, how can he be so strong? Gu Chang'e walked out of a pile of rubble, clutching her chest, her face full of horror. Not only him, but the others were also extremely shocked. After all, in the past 3 years, they had improved tremendously with the help of the primordial emperor's essence. Most of the older generation cultivators were no match for them, but how could they be so weak before Chu Kuangren? One palm. He couldn't even take a light palm strike from him. They knew that Chu Kuangren's forte lay in swordsmanship, yet he was able to crush them without even using his sword. What would happen if he used a sword? Terrifying. I don't believe it. Ao Chang gritted his teeth. As an ancient sky pride who had the primordial emperor's essence, his combat strength was unparalleled. 3 years ago, he was suppressed by Chu Kuangren. Would he still be suppressed 3 years later? Sage ruler magic Sunfall. Ao Chang gathered his spiritual energy and punched out. Violent Taoist rhymes intertwined, forming a terrifying sun. Meanwhile, Gu Chang'e, Yuanhong, Wuchenzi, and Lin Batian also activated their own techniques and Taoist rhymes, unleashing their ultimate techniques. For mystical arts, go. Dragon Slaughter Fist. Heavenly Blaze Prairie. Sunlight Destruction. Earth, Wind, Water, Fire, the power of the 4 mystical arts, the domineering dragon-shaped fist energy, and the burning sacred flame almost distorted the void. The sun rose from the sky and locked onto Chu Kuangren. A golden ray of light pierced through the air. The Sky Prides joined forces and unleashed an incredibly powerful attack. All sorts of Taoist rhymes circulated and shook the void. Faced with these attacks, Chu Kuangren smiled and a sword appeared in his hand. The sword looked like it was carved out of white jade, crystal clear and flawless. Sacred Sword, Descendant Self. With the Descendant Self in his hand, Chu Kuangren slashed horizontally. The dazzling purple sword light gushed out, and several terrifying energies fiercely collided with each other in the void, causing a terrifying explosion. The ground shook, the void distorted, and the impact was like waves one after another. Under this shockwave, the Sky Prides were all sent flying. Battle Monarch Domain. Ao Chang let out a shout. An invisible force field locked onto Chu Kuangren. Gu Chang'e, Yuanhong, Lin Batian, and Wuchenzi also activated their domains. In the past 3 years they had long reached the Battle Monarch realm. Their domain energy covered the sky and crushed towards Chu Kuangren. Each domain was a layer of shackles. 5 domains were 5 layers of shackles. Moreover, all 5 of them were young emperors, so their domain energy far exceeded that of an ordinary battle monarch. It could even suppress an honorable. Chu Kuangren felt the surrounding void change. The air became extremely viscous as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Every time he moved, he had to expend far more energy than before. Is this a domain? Speaking of which, I've already reached the Battle Monarch realm 3 years ago. However, I've never tried this domain on anyone. Come and take a look. Chu Kuangren smiled and a surge of domain energy emerged from his body. It only lasted for an instant. The domain energy that Ao Chang, Gu Chang'e, and the others had unleashed was repelled by an even more terrifying force field. With a bang, the domain energy that was rebounded landed on the 5 of them, catching them off guard and causing them to suffer from the backlash. Not only that, but Chu Kuangren's domain energy also landed on them and instantly pressed them to the ground. That domain energy was too terrifying. Their domains paled in comparison to it. How can his domain be so powerful? It's too terrifying. Gu Chang'e and the others were pressed to the ground. Their bodies trembled as they tried their best to channel the spiritual power within their bodies to resist that force. However, the power of this domain not only suppressed their physical bodies, but also their spiritual powers. Now they felt like the spiritual power within their bodies was like a pool of stagnant water. No matter how they channeled it, there was not much fluctuation. They could not believe that Chu Kuangren's domain was this powerful. This domain isn't bad. Chu Kuangren smiled. He was quite satisfied with his domain. Chu Kuangren's foundation was too terrifying. With a Supreme 9-level Taoist foundation, a Supreme 9-vein golden core, a Supreme 9-colored nascent soul, a Supreme 9th-grade purple palace, and a Supreme 9-jeweled crown, there were only a few in the history of Firmament Star who had such a foundation. It was because of such a foundation that he was able to unleash such a powerful domain. He was absolutely invincible among those in the same realm. Chu Kuangren calmly looked at the people who were pressed to the ground and said, 3 years ago, I could suppress you to the point where you couldn't even lift your heads. 3 years later, I can still make you kneel on the ground obediently. Do you really think you can fight me just because you've obtained a so-called primordial emperor's essence and are called young emperors? What a joke. After that, Chu Kuangren retracted his domain. Ao Chong and the others felt their bodies relax as they regained their mobility. However, they did not relax at all. On the contrary, they were extremely depressed as a sense of helplessness arose in their hearts. It had been 3 years. In order to defeat Chu Kuangren for the past 3 years, they had been cultivating diligently without rest. They thought that with the primordial emperor's essence in hand, they would definitely be able to defeat Chu Kuangren once they became young emperors. However, they did not expect that Chu Kuangren would still be so powerful that it made them feel hopeless even without the primordial emperor's essence. Chapter 120. Chu Kuangren had defeated 5 young emperors effortlessly. His combat strength had shocked everyone. Even Honorable Xian Qi, Elder Ruyan, and the others who were mentally prepared still found it unbelievable. In just 3 short years, Kuangren's cultivation base has not progressed much. However, his understanding of Dao techniques is so deep that it's amazing. Several of his sage ruler techniques have reached the perfect stage. It's unbelievable, Honorable Xian Qi said. The elders at the side also deeply agreed. Elder Ruyan said, even if he doesn't have the primordial emperor's essence, his innate talent is stronger than anything else. Not bad. With the lead disciple around, why should we worry about our Black Heaven sect not prospering? Haha, the Black Heaven sect is destined to prosper in this era. The sect leader and the elders were all beaming with joy. Ao Chong, Lin Badian, and the others left. They came in high spirits but left in low spirits. Today's defeat had not only reminded them of Chu Kuangren's strength, but it had also cast a shadow over their Taoist hearts. If he were to face Chu Kuangren in the future, he would probably be wary before the battle even started. The news of Chu Kuangren coming out from his closed-door meditation and defeating 5 young emperors in a row spread across the world on the second day. Every orthodoxy and cultivator was shocked by the news. He had disappeared without a trace for 3 years. Just when everyone thought that Chu Kuangren would never be able to shine again, he came out of his closed-door meditation and used his absolute strength to show everyone that he was still the same person who suppressed all the sky prides in the world. One brilliant feat, one brilliant feat. Chu Kuangren has been in closed-door meditation for 3 years and lost the chance to obtain the primordial emperor's essence, but he's still the same Chu Kuangren from back then. He shouldn't be underestimated. He's too powerful. He defeated 5 young emperors in a row. His combat strength is incredible. Is he really just a battle king? Now that Chu Kuangren has come out of his closed-door meditation, the world is going to be in turmoil again. Back then when he first entered the world, he slew supremes and saints, leading the world into chaos. Now that he has come out of seclusion, I wonder what kind of commotion he will cause. Everyone in the world was talking about Chu Kuangren. Countless people thought back to 3 years ago, to the peerless young man in white who single-handedly suppressed all the geniuses in the world to the point where they couldn't even raise their heads. Now that the young man had come out of seclusion, what kind of waves would he cause? No one knew, but they were all looking forward to it. Princess, take care. In front of the Black Heaven sect's mountain entrance, Chu Kuangren was sending Princess Linglong off. Princess Linglong smiled sweetly and said, "Then I shall take my leave. If you have time, feel free to come to the Royal Azure Dynasty to look for me." Definitely. Chu Kuangren smiled. Then goodbye. Goodbye. After sending Princess Linglong off, Chu Kuangren returned to the Black Heaven sect. He did not have any plans for the future. There was nothing wrong with staying in the Black Heaven sect to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Congratulations to the host for drawing a brilliant star item. Alchemist Permanent Experience Card 1. The fantasy roulette's voice sounded. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Another starlight item. Over the past month, with the lucky aura hovering above his head, he had obtained quite a number of good prizes. Among them there were 10 silver tier prizes, 12 gold tier prizes, 3 starlight tier prizes, and only 7 iron tier prizes. Before he had the lucky halo, Chu Kuangren was considered lucky if he could get a gold grade item once a month. Now nearly half of the prizes he got in a month were gold grade items, and the star brilliance was a frequent occurrence as well. Chu Kuangren felt so good that he could fly to the heavens. Use the Alchemist Experience card. Chu Kuangren took out the card and crushed it. A ray of light entered Chu Kuangren's mind, and suddenly, a large amount of information about alchemy burst out. In the blink of an eye, he had turned from a rookie who knew little about pills into a rare alchemy grandmaster. Alchemy, this is a good skill. Chu Kuangren smiled after he finished absorbing the memories in his mind. In the world of cultivation, there were all kinds of cultivation resources, and alchemy was undoubtedly one of the most popular ones. Skilled alchemists were often sought after by the orthodoxies, and they were popular wherever they went. In the Black Heaven sect, there was an elixir pavilion that specialized in cultivating alchemists. The alchemy used by the Black Heaven sect's disciples all came from there, so it was very important in the sect. Now that I've mastered this skill, if I don't find a place to use it, it'll be like walking in the dark with no one watching, Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, unable to suppress the excitement in his heart, he left the Taoist palace and went straight to the elixir pavilion. Inside the elixir pavilion, the fire was strong, and the fragrance of medicine filled the air. A group of alchemists came and went, and it was quiet but busy. It was Chu Kuangren's first time here, so he looked around curiously. Hey, it's Elder Senior Brother. An alchemy disciple noticed Chu Kuangren and could not help but let out a soft cry. The others heard him and looked over. It really is Elder Senior Brother. Why is he here at the elixir pavilion? Is he here to collect medicinal pills? That can't be right. The medicinal pills are distributed to the disciples on time every month, and why would Elder Senior Brother lack medicinal pills? A steward in charge of the elixir pavilion quickly greeted him and smiled. Welcome, lead disciple. What brings you here? Chu Kuangren smiled. I recently had a sudden idea to refine some medicinal pills, so I came here. By the way, where's the fifth elder? The fifth elder was the person in charge of the elixir pavilion. However, Chu Kuangren did not see him after looking around. The fifth elder went out. I heard that he found Master Gujiang in the Black Heaven sect's territory, so he went to invite him. Oh, Master Gujiang. Yes, he's one of the top alchemy masters in Firmament Star. He usually travels around, so the fifth elder invited him as a guest. At the mention of Gujiang, the steward had a yearning look in his eyes. In Firmament Star, those who were given the title of master were all great figures who had reached the pinnacle of a certain field. Alchemy masters, craftsmanship masters, formation masters, and so on. Each of these people were highly sought after by the orthodoxies. Even sage orthodoxies might not have them. I see. Chu Kuangren nodded. Lead disciple, are there any spare alchemy rooms? Yes, are there any spare alchemy rooms? Yes, there are. The steward nodded. If Chu Kuangren wanted to refine medicinal pills, he would build another one even if there was no spare room. The steward led Chu Kuangren to an alchemy room. Lead disciple, what kind of medicinal pills are you looking to refine? I'll get someone to prepare it for you. I have a pill recipe here. Just get the ingredients according to the recipe. Chu Kuangren took out a pill recipe and handed it to the steward. This pill recipe was a gold grade item that he had won a few days ago. It was a good chance for him to try it out today. The steward took the pill recipe and glanced at it. He was stunned. Pill of Sorrow? It was the first time he had heard of this name. When he looked at the ingredients on the recipe, he could not help but be even more surprised. Each of these ingredients was extremely valuable. Is this really your first time refining medicinal pills? Yes, is there a problem? No, I was just curious. The steward was even more confused. He dares to use so many precious ingredients on his first time refining pills? This is too much of a nerve. Forget it. He's the lead disciple after all. Even his position and prestige in Black Heaven sect were not lower than Honorable Xian Qi's. How could a small steward like him dare to disobey him? Soon, the steward arranged the ingredients for Chu Kuangren. Chapter 121. I heard Elder Senior Brother is here to perform alchemy. What? Elder Senior Brother knows how to perform alchemy? Tisk tsk. Even if Elder Senior Brother says he's an alchemy grandmaster, I'd believe him. You're too blind. Elder Senior Brother is indeed powerful, but alchemy is a technical skill. Without years of experience, even a genius can't easily become an alchemist. That's right. Elder Senior Brother is talented, but he must have spent most of his time on cultivation. How would he have the time to perform alchemy? I guess he's just curious. Probably. Everyone in the alchemy pavilion was curious about Chu Kuangren's sudden arrival, and they were even more surprised when they learned that he was here to perform alchemy. Inside the alchemy room, many of the alchemy pavilion's disciples were gathered outside. They craned their necks to see how Chu Kuangren would perform alchemy. At that moment the door opened and the administrator walked out. Why are you all gathered here? Don't you have to work? Go do what you need to do, the administrator said angrily. Head Deacon, aren't we all curious? Tell us, what pill is eldest senior brother planning to refine? One of the disciples asked curiously. I'm not sure either. It's called the pill of melancholy. Have any of you heard of it? The administrator asked. However, all the disciples were at a loss. I'm familiar with the 1,000 herb scripture, but I've never heard of a pill called the pill of melancholy. Yeah, could it be a pill recorded in an unofficial history book? No way. Just as the crowd was discussing, Chu Kuangren had already started to perform alchemy in the alchemy room. After merging with the alchemist experience card, Chu Kuangren's alchemy skills had reached the highest level in the world. The moment he started to perform alchemy, it was as if he had repeated it thousands of times. Every movement was smooth and natural. As the ingredients decreased, the pill in the cauldron gradually took shape, and a unique pill qi emanated from it. Outside the door, the disciples could smell the pill qi in the air. Smells so good. Is this a pill fragrance? It's a pill fragrance. Only top-tier pills can have a pill fragrance. Is this really Elder Senior Brother's first time performing alchemy? This pill fragrance is so unique. I've never heard of it before. Woo-woo. Suddenly, a sobbing sound came from the crowd. Everyone looked over and saw a young disciple sobbing. Why are you crying? Someone asked curiously. I just suddenly recalled some sad memories. Hearing this, everyone could not help but sigh. To be able to make a 7-foot man cry in public, it must have been a sad past that he couldn't bear to recall. Something was not right. Why did you think of it now? As the pill fragrance in the air became thicker and thicker, everyone felt their noses tingle and all kinds of sad memories surged in their minds. Sob, 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 I'm unfilial. I joined the Black Heaven sect at the age of 12 and have only returned to my hometown a few times in the past 10 years. I'm unfilial. That's nothing. I've been cultivating for 10 years, and I'm still hovering around the foundation establishment stage. In the pill pavilion, my cultivation level is the lowest. I don't have the face to see anyone. Don't stop me. Just let me die. There are so many people out there who haven't even reached the foundation realm. What are you crying for? Boo-hoo, I'm the one who's miserable. When I left the village, I told Cui Hua that I would marry her once I became successful, but when I went back, her child already knows how to buy soy sauce. Brother, stay strong. Which one of you is more miserable than me? Yesterday, De Huang, who had been by my side for 10 years, passed away. I fed him until he was young, but he left me just like that. I'm in so much pain. I miss senior sister so much. Although I failed to confess to her a year ago, I can't forget her even after a year, boo-hoo. I've lived for so long, but I'm still a virgin. I'm so sad. Outside the alchemy room, the group of Pill Pavilion disciples were crying their hearts out. The air was filled with a sorrowful atmosphere. Outside the Pill Pavilion, 2 old men walked in talking and laughing. Grandmaster Gujiang, it's really a blessing for my Black Heaven sect to have you as a guest, the fifth elder said with a laugh. Gujiang smiled. You're too kind, fifth elder. The Black Heaven sect is a sage orthodoxy. How could I not come when you invited me? You're too humble, Master Gujiang. Oh right, there's a group of good-for-nothing disciples in the Pill Pavilion. You should give them some guidance when you're free. Of course, of course. Ha, it's settled then. By the way, I heard that the Black Heaven sect's lead disciple, Chu Kuangren, is very impressive. If it's possible, I'd like to meet him. That's easy. The fifth elder and Master Gujiang walked into the Pill Pavilion. As soon as they entered, they smelled a unique pill fragrance. Since the Pill Pavilion was a place for alchemy, it was not unusual for it to have pill fragrance. However, this pill fragrance was very unique. Master Gujiang had been immersed in alchemy for thousands of years. He had seen all kinds of medicinal pills, but he had never smelled this pill fragrance before. What kind of medicinal pill is this? Master Gujiang could not help but wonder. I don't know either. The fifth elder was a little confused as well. He knew all the kinds of medicinal pills that the alchemists in the Pill Pavilion could refine, but this pill fragrance was definitely not refined by someone from the Pill Pavilion. Then who could it be? Unable to hold back their curiosity, the two of them followed the pill fragrance. However, the closer they got to the source of the pill fragrance, the more they felt their noses sting and their eyes watering. It was a feeling of sorrow. This pill fragrance can trigger the sorrow in one's heart? What a unique medicinal pill. The fifth elder and Master Gujiang's cultivation level was not weak. Moreover, it was just a pill fragrance, so they channeled their spiritual power to resist it. Soon, the two of them could hear the sound of many people crying. When they came to the outside of an alchemy room, they saw a group of Pill Pavilion disciples wailing. The fifth elder and Master Gujiang looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The power of this medicinal pill is really extraordinary. Yeah. The fifth elder walked up to the manager and asked, "What's going on? Who's the one refining the pills in this alchemy room?" The manager's eyes were red from crying, and his nose was dripping. When he saw the fifth elder, he sobbed. It's the lead disciple. Lead disciple? Chu Kuangren. How does he know alchemy? And he's even refining such a strange pill. The fifth elder was puzzled. Just as he was puzzled, a surge of pill qi suddenly rose from the alchemy room. It gathered the spiritual qi and formed a golden pill cloud. Supreme pill! Master Gujiang suddenly exclaimed. There were different grades and grades of pills. Among them, pills that could be classified as supreme grade were collectively known as supreme pills. Even if it was the lowest grade pill, refining it into a supreme pill was a test of the alchemist's ability. However, Master Gujiang's surprise was not over yet. After a pill cloud formed, another pill cloud gathered in the sky. Soon there were 9 pill clouds in the sky. The golden pill clouds hovered in the sky, emitting auspicious light. An extremely mysterious Taoist rhyme filled the air, moving everyone's expression. Master Gujiang was already dumbfounded. His face was filled with disbelief. 9 pill clouds. A 9th grade supreme pill. 9 was the extreme number. A 9th grade supreme pill was the highest quality pill known in the world. Even Master Gujiang could not refine it. Grandmaster. Chapter 122. Fifth Elder. Quickly tell me which great master is inside. Grandmaster Gu tugged at the fifth elder's clothes excitedly. This was an alchemy grandmaster. He had traveled all over the firmament star, visiting all the famous alchemy masters, but he had yet to meet a single grandmaster even after so long. Who would have thought that they would meet here? Grandmaster Gu, calm down. How can I calm down? This is a great grandmaster. The person inside is the lead disciple of my Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren. Vulsh *T, isn't Chu Kuangren a genius cultivator? How did you become an alchemy grandmaster? Are you messing with me? The fifth elder's head was also full of question marks. How was he supposed to know how to refine pills? At this moment, the door to the alchemy room creaked open. Then Chu Kuangren walked out from inside and said, I've used up all of those medicinal ingredients. Can I trouble you guys to... Before he could even finish his sentence, Chu Kuangren was stunned to see a bunch of Elixir Pavilion's disciples crying their eyes out. F*ck, what's going on? He already had some guesses in his heart. Was the pill of melancholy so powerful? Just the pill fragrance alone had such power. If it was taken by someone, wouldn't that person cry to death? It really is the chief disciple. The fifth elder's face was filled with astonishment. When Grandmaster Gu next to him saw the door open, he quickly rushed in and searched inside, but he couldn't see anyone. Where did the Grandmaster go? What great master? Chu Kuangren asked with a frown. It's the person who concocted the pill just now. I've been the only one in this room since the beginning. I was the one who performed the alchemy just now. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He knew that the person in front of him was Gujiang, the renowned alchemy master of Firmament Star. What you? Gujiang circled around Chu Kuangren twice with a face full of suspicion. You're Chu Kuangren? Yes. You look just like the rumors. Was it really you who was concocting pills here just now? Gujiang's eyes were filled with doubt. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded. Can you refine it again for me to see? Whether it was real or fake, he would know once he tested it. Chu Kuangren did not reject the offer. After all, the purpose of his trip to the Elixir Pavilion was to test his alchemy skills. He had just started and wanted to practice for a while longer. Then, he called someone to bring new medicinal ingredients and began to refine pills. Gujiang watched from the side. His expression changed from suspicion at the beginning, to solemnity, and then to shock. In the end his mouth was wide open and he was dumbfounded. The fifth elder beside him was no better than Gujiang. As he watched Chu Kuangren perform alchemy, he felt that it was a little too far-fetched. He had never heard that Chu Kuangren knew alchemy before, so how did he become an alchemy grandmaster in the blink of an eye? Boom! A burst of Dan Qi soared into the sky, once again condensing into 9 golden Dan clouds. This meant that this was another batch of 9th grade Supreme Dan. Great Grandmaster. He's definitely a great Grandmaster. Gujiang regained his senses and looked at Chu Kuangren with a face full of passion. Without another word, he immediately rushed towards Chu Kuangren and knelt on the ground. Master, please accept me as your disciple. The Elixir Pavilion disciples outside the alchemy room were all dumbfounded. What did they see? An alchemy grandmaster was kneeling in front of their elder senior brother, begging to be his disciple? F*ck, this world is crazy. Senior, please don't do this. Chu Kuangren was also shocked and quickly helped Gujiang up. However, Gujiang's knees seemed to be glued to the floor. No matter how Chu Kuangren tried to pull him up, he would not get up. He stubbornly said, If Master doesn't accept me as his disciple, I won't get up. F*ck, he's trying to blackmail me. Chu Kuangren looked at Gujiang in shock. Is this really the world-renowned alchemy grandmaster? Master Gujiang, what are you doing? The fifth elder was also shocked and quickly came up to persuade him. Fifth elder, you don't have to persuade me. The grandmaster realm is my lifelong goal. I've immersed myself in alchemy for thousands of years, but I've never been able to achieve it. Now that I've finally seen hope, I won't give up. Gujiang said with a determined look. Alchemy was too important to him. The status and achievements he had today were all because of alchemy. His cultivation potential was not good, so he could only enter the Tao through alchemy. As long as he could advance further in alchemy, he would do anything. Senior Gujiang, if you like to kneel, then you can keep kneeling. Goodbye, Chu Kuangren said calmly. In fact, it was not impossible for him to teach Gujiang, but he was a little displeased with Gujiang's behavior. Do you think kneeling will make me accept you as my disciple? If I don't accept you, why won't you get up? Am I forcing you or am I forcing you? It was a threat in disguise. Chu Kuangren was not interested in such behavior, so he turned around and left. When the Elixir Pavilion's disciples saw that, their respect for Chu Kuangren grew like a surging river. How prestigious would it be to have an alchemy grandmaster as a disciple? But what about our elder senior brother? No. If you want me to accept you, then I won't. I don't care if you're an alchemy grandmaster, I won't even give a damn about you. This. Master Chu, wait up. Gujiang could no longer kneel. He quickly got up and chased after Chu Kuangren anxiously. Chu Kuangren looked at him. Why? You're not kneeling anymore? Gujiang blushed and said. Please forgive me, Master Chu. I was indeed rude just now. Please don't take it to heart. He also came to realize that his behavior just now was indeed a little forceful. Senior Gujiang, if it's just an alchemy exchange, I'll welcome you anytime. However, I don't think I'll accept you as my disciple. Chu Kuangren let out a faint smile and left. Gujiang was stunned. He did not know whether to chase after Chu Kuangren or not. Master Gujiang, the lead disciple, lives in the Towering Heaven Palace. We'll have plenty of opportunities to exchange alchemy in the future. The fifth elder walked up and said. Gujiang glared at him when he heard that. Fifth elder, this is not nice of you. You invited me to the Black Heaven sect as a guest, but you didn't tell me that there's an alchemy grandmaster here. That's rude of me. Now that I've offended Master Chu, what do you want me to do? Let me tell you this. If Master Chu has a grudge against me because of this, I'll be the first to deal with you. Gujiang was not angry at all. If he knew that there was an alchemy grandmaster in the Black Heaven sect, he would have made more preparations before coming. At least he would not have left such a terrible first impression like he did just now. The fifth elder looked innocent and said, I didn't know that the lead disciple was so capable. Gujiang could not be bothered to talk to him anymore. He turned around and walked out of the alchemy pavilion. Hey Master Gujiang, where are you going? I'm going to look for your sect leader. Why would I look for him? He doesn't know alchemy. I want to join the Black Heaven sect. The fifth elder's eyes lit up when he heard that. Gujiang was an alchemy grandmaster. If he was willing to join the Black Heaven sect, it would be a great thing. Chapter 123. Towering Heaven Palace. Chu Kuangren looked at Gujiang and sighed. So you joined the Black Heaven sect so that you could be my disciple? Please teach me. Gujiang bowed. Beside him, Honorable Xianqi, Elder Ruyan, and the others looked at Chu Kuangren in surprise. They did not expect him to know alchemy. Moreover, he could even convince a grandmaster like Gujiang willingly. Chu Kuangren was giving them more and more surprises. Cough Kuangren, for the sake of Master Gujiang's sincerity, you can teach him. Honorable Xianqi smiled. Chu Kuangren said, I can teach him, but not as a master. Yes, teacher. Gujiang was delighted. Didn't I say I won't accept disciples? Teacher, you misunderstand. Although you won't accept me as a disciple, you shouldn't reject me as a teacher. All right then. Chu Kuangren nodded. Just like that, the Towering Heaven Palace had another frequent visitor. Gujiang would visit the Taoist Palace every few days to ask for advice, and his joining of the Black Heaven sect had greatly improved the sect's foundation. After all, he was still an alchemy master. These days, Honorable Xianqi could often be seen smiling and mumbling about how Chu Kuangren was his lucky star. Chu Kuangren lived a peaceful life for a period of time. However, there was always someone who did not let him live so comfortably. Today, outside the Towering Heaven Palace, a handsome young man dressed in white came to visit. It was said that he was from the winged human tribe and wanted to bring Lan Yu back. Chu Kuangren looked at the person in front of him and frowned. Brother Chu, I'm Yen Bo of the winged human tribe. I'm here to ask you to allow Lan Yu to return to our tribe and acknowledge her ancestors. Before Chu Kuangren could speak, the handsome young man, Yen Bo, spoke first. Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes in his mind. Lan Yu was created by the fantasy roulette from the lottery draw. Although she was from the winged human tribe, she had no direct relationship with the winged human tribe. What was he asking her to return to? What tribe? However, this was not the case to outsiders, so Chu Kuangren did not say it out loud. He looked at Lan Yu as if asking for her opinion. Aside from being by your side, I will not go anywhere else, Lan Yu said firmly. Chu Kuangren smiled and looked at Yen Bo. Fellow Feather, you heard her. Lan Yu doesn't want to go back. Lan Yu, this time you must go back. Yen Bo was still unwilling to give up, his face filled with anxiety. Chu Kuangren frowned slightly, feeling that something was not right. This time, did he look for you many times before? The latter question was directed at Lan Yu. Lan Yu nodded slightly. Why didn't you tell me? It's just an insignificant matter. I don't dare to disturb young master. How is your matter unimportant? Next time something like this happens, remember not to hide it from me. Chu Kuangren said helplessly. Lan Yu pursed his lips and nodded. Yes, master. Yanbo watched from the side. He felt that the two of them did not seem to have a simple master-servant relationship, but he did not think too much about it. He continued, Lan Yu, this concerns the survival of the winged human tribe. Please come back with me. The survival of the winged human tribe has nothing to do with me. Besides, don't you still have Zhu Tianlan? Can't you ask him to help? The Zhu Tianlan that Lan Yu mentioned was the young emperor of the winged human tribe, an ancient sky pride from 40,000 years ago. He had looked for her a few times before, and his combat strength was not much weaker than hers. This time, even the young emperor can't do anything. Only you can save the winged human tribe because you're the only one with the scepter of light, Yanbo said and continued to tell her what had happened. It turned out that the ancestors of the winged human tribe were once trusted aides of the sage ruler of light. Later on, the sage ruler of light granted the winged human tribe a territory, allowing them to spread their roots and establish the winged human tribe. However, the truth was that the winged human tribe had an important mission. There was a demonic well in their territory that led to the underworld demonic realm. The winged human tribe's mission was to suppress the demonic well and prevent the demonic creatures from coming out. However, the demonic well had recently become restless, and the formation that suppressed the demonic well was damaged for unknown reasons. Now, only the sage ruler weapon, the scepter of light, could repair the formation and suppress the demonic well. The fact that you're able to obtain the scepter of light means that it's God's will. Lan Yu, follow me back to the winged human tribe and suppress the demonic well. With your talent and the scepter, you'll become the leader of the winged human tribe in the future. Yanbo tried to move him with emotion and reason. Chu Kuangren did not expect the winged human tribe to have such a relationship with the sage ruler of light. In that case, the reason why the scepter of light chose Lan Yu was not only because of her holy radiant physique, but also because of her identity as a winged human. Then let's go. While Lan Yu was hesitating, Chu Kuangren had already made up his mind. Master, after all, it's been a while since I've gone out for a walk. Besides, I'm a little interested in seeing the demonic well. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The underworld demonic realm was a term that Chu Kuangren had repeatedly seen in the ancient books. He had also seen some records about the demonic realm. For example, the school of White Lotus's ancestor, the White Lotus sage ruler, had once suppressed a demonic beast from the underworld and established a sage orthodoxy. Then I'll listen to you, Master, Lan Yu said. All right. Thank you, Brother Chu. Yanbo was overjoyed. It turned out that he had been trying to persuade the wrong person. If he had known, he would have persuaded Chu Kuangren instead. When Honorable Xianqi heard that Chu Kuangren wanted to go to the winged human tribe's territory, he did not object. Then Chu Kuangren departed. The seventh forefather and the other two protectors also followed him on his journey. After 3 years, the 3 protectors had something to do again. The 3 of them gathered in the void and greeted each other. Brother Qinglan, long time no see. You're still as elegant as ever. The seventh forefather looked at Honorable Qinglan and laughed. Brother Xianqi, how have you been? Brother Meng, you look younger. At that moment, the seventh forefather looked at the old lady from the Royal Azure dynasty and said in surprise. Old Lady Meng smiled and said, The dynasty king has given me a supreme elixir, which allowed me to extend my lifespan and continue to protect the fiancé. Well, congratulations, congratulations. How can I compare to Brother Xianqi? I heard that you've gone through heavenly deterioration stage 5 and returned to your peak with the help of a life extension pill. I'm really envious of you, Old Lady Meng said enviously. After going through heavenly deterioration stage 5, one was basically waiting for death. There were very few people like the seventh forefather who could return to their peak. It's all thanks to this little guy. He's now an alchemy grandmaster. Perhaps you can ask him to refine a batch of life extension pills for you, the seventh forefather suggested. Old Lady Meng was a little tempted. Let's talk about this another time. All right. The few protectors were chatting in the void. From their point of view, with Chu Kuangren's current cultivation and strength, as long as an honorable was not involved, they would not be needed. However, how many honorables were there in Firmament Star? Chapter 124. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu followed Yanbo to the winged human tribe. Along the way, they learned a lot about the winged human tribe. For example, the winged human tribe was divided into two factions. One faction was led by the current winged human tribe leader, while the other was led by the awakened ancient sky pride, Zhu Tianlan. Although these two factions did not have any conflicts on the surface, they were secretly competing with each other. Yanbo belonged to the winged human tribe leader's faction. Aside from wanting to save the winged human tribe, he also wanted to recruit Lan Yu and find a sky pride that could compete with Zhu Tianlan. Chu Kuangren was not surprised by this situation. The awakening of an ancient sky pride was good news for some factions, but it would also affect the internal factions. Especially for an honorable orthodoxy like the winged human tribe, which was not as strong as the sage orthodoxy. They needed a supreme sky pride to lead their orthodoxy to the next level. However, this ancient sky pride had been in hibernation for many years and did not have deep feelings for the orthodoxy, so it was natural that he had to bear a certain amount of risk. Soon Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the winged human tribe's territory. It was a huge city with unique buildings. Most of them were dome-shaped and white in color. People came and went in the city. Besides the winged human tribe, there were also many foreign merchants and cultivators. It was very lively. When they arrived at the center of the city, there was a white palace with armored guards patrolling the place. The security was very tight. Lan Yu, you're finally here. When they arrived at the palace, a handsome middle-aged man in a white robe with white hair greeted them. This middle-aged man was the current winged human tribe leader. Greetings, tribe leader. Lan Yu bowed slightly. No matter how much she did not want to return to the winged human tribe, she still felt a sense of familiarity when she saw so many people from the same tribe. Behind the winged human tribe leader, there were many elders and young talents in the tribe. All of them looked at Lan Yu curiously. After all, it was strange that a supreme Taoist physique had suddenly appeared in their tribe without anyone knowing about it. Not to mention that this tribe member wielded the Scepter of Light, which was a supreme authority recorded in their tribe's ancient books. However, it did not take long before everyone's attention was drawn to Chu Kuangren, who was standing beside Lan Yu. Each and every one of them was stunned. Even in the winged human tribe, which was full of handsome men and beautiful women, Chu Kuangren's appearance and temperament were still exceptionally outstanding. No one could match him. Who is this person? Is he also a winged person? No, he doesn't have the aura of a winged person. But he looks even better than us winged humans. He came here with Lan Yu. I know he's Chu Kuangren. It should be him. The group of winged humans discussed in hushed tones. While they were sizing up Chu Kuangren, he was also sizing them up. It was said that apart from producing handsome men and beautiful women, the winged human tribe was also skilled in combat. He took a look and found that all of them had a kind of valiant aura about them. Those pampered prodigies couldn't be compared to them. Apart from that, he also noticed that even though Lan Yu was from the winged people tribe, her appearance was slightly different from an ordinary winged people. Ordinary winged people, including the lord of the winged people tribe, were no different from ordinary people other than having an extra pair of wings. Lan Yu, on the other hand, had long silver hair, sapphire eyes, and a holy aura. All of these made her stand out among the group of winged people, making her exceptionally attractive. Chu Kuangren smirked, feeling an inexplicable sense of pride in his heart. As expected, my Lan Yu is the prettiest no matter where she goes. You must be elder senior brother Black Heaven. The lord of the winged people tribe walked up to Chu Kuangren and bowed slightly. Greetings, lord. You're welcome, brother Chu. I've already prepared a banquet to welcome all of you. The lord of the winged people tribe smiled. The banquet was held in the palace. All the elders and sky prides of the winged people tribe were present, including the young emperor Zhu Tianlan. As a winged people, Zhu Tianlan's appearance was needless to say. Among all the people Chu Kuangren had met, he was definitely the most handsome. Of course, that was except for him. Zhu Tianlan was also very surprised. He took a few more glances at Chu Kuangren during the banquet. He did not expect there to be a man more handsome than him in this world. At that thought, Zhu Tianlan felt a little uncomfortable, especially when he saw how docile and obedient Lan Yu was next to Chu Kuangren. He felt a surge of anger in his heart. After all, when he went to look for Lan Yu, she treated him coldly. Where was the gentleness she showed to Chu Kuangren? Lan Yu, it's great that you've thought things through and returned to the winged people tribe. If you and I work together, we can definitely bring the Winged People tribe to new heights. Let me propose a toast to you. Zhu Tianlan suppressed his jealousy towards Chu Kuangren and raised his glass at Lan Yu with a smile. However, Lan Yu did not raise her glass. Instead, she said, I came to the Winged People tribe to solve the problem of the demonic well. Once I'm done, I'll leave. Leading the Winged People tribe will be up to you and the Lord. His words made all the elders present reveal strange expressions. We'll talk about Lan Yu later. She's right, we should focus on stabilizing the demonic well first. Sensing the tense atmosphere in the banquet, the Lord of the Winged People tribe quickly tried to smooth things over. After the banquet ended, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu stayed in the palace for the night. The next day they set off for their destination. The demonic well. The so-called demonic well was not a real well but a spatial crack. It was called the demonic well because it was connected to the underworld demonic realm. The demonic well that the Winged People tribe guarded was on an altar in the palace, guarded by 4 stone pillars that were engraved with runes. These stone pillars contained the power of the former sage ruler of light. However, for some unknown reason, that power had been greatly weakened, which was why the sage ruler's former weapon, the scepter of light, was needed to restore it. Lan Yu, I'm sorry to trouble you. One of the Winged People tribe elders looked at Lan Yu and said solemnly. He was the guardian of this altar, but it was said that a few days ago, there was a problem with the altar's formation, causing the demonic well to become restless. He was severely injured while trying to suppress the well, and he had yet to fully recover. As for how to restore the formation's power, he had already told Lan Yu about it on the way here. All right, I'll do my best. Lan Yu nodded. Then in a flash, she spread her wings and flew onto the altar. She took out the scepter of light, and a surge of holy light aura emanated from her body, causing everyone present to be moved. That's the scepter of light, the former weapon of the sage ruler. It's said that this scepter symbolizes the supreme authority of the Winged People tribe. Whoever holds the scepter can command the entire Winged People tribe. That's only because our ancestors respected the sage ruler of light. However, this scepter is a sage ruler weapon, so it's true that it's extremely powerful. That's right. All the Winged People, including the Lord of the Winged People tribe, stared at the scepter of light in Lan Yu's hand with a fiery gaze. Chu Kuangren frowned as he watched from the side. A sage ruler weapon was enough to tempt a sage orthodoxy, not to mention the symbolic significance of the scepter of light to the Winged People tribe. Would these people really let Lan Yu leave so easily? Chapter 125. On the altar, the scepter in Lan Yu's hand shone brightly. Divine light filled the air. However, the chief of the Winged Men tribe gradually realized that something was amiss. This was because the power of the formation on the altar did not increase at all. On the contrary, it was still weakening. What's going on? The chief of the Winged Men tribe's expression changed, and he quickly looked at the elder who was guarding the altar. However, she saw that he was full of smiles and was not surprised at all. Third elder, what's going on? The chief of the winged humans questioned. What's going on? As you can see, the spell formation is about to disappear. The devil realm will descend today. The third elder laughed out loud, his face filled with excitement. Take him down! The chief of the Winged Men tribe shouted coldly. The third elder's body exploded with a strong power, directly blasting away the guards who were rushing toward him from all directions. Then a pair of black wings unfurled from the third elder's back. Everyone's faces sank when they saw this. Fallen Wing. Third elder actually became a member of the Fallen Wing clan. Damn it, what's going on? This is all part of the third elder's scheme. Damn it. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation to check on the third elder's information. Third elder Zhu Xian, Supreme Martial Artist Cultivation, Fallen Winged Race, a race of the demon world that the winged human race transformed into after being corroded by demonic energy. Oh no, stop Lan Yu! The chief of the winged human tribe shouted. But it was too late. Suddenly a black gas erupted from the altar. The powerful impact sent Lan Yu flying off the altar. Chu Kuangren's figure flashed and caught it. Are you alright? I'm fine, but I failed. Lan Yu frowned. I followed the elder's instructions and did not make any mistakes. Why is the power of the array decreasing instead of increasing? That's because what I'm teaching you isn't the method to restore the power of the array formation, but to reverse the array formation. The third elder laughed loudly. On the altar, black smoke billowed into the sky. A pitch-black hole appeared in the sky, and a terrifying demonic chi seeped out from it, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. This is the devil's well. Damn it! The array formation has disappeared. The demonic well has reappeared. One figure after another rushed out of the well. These people all had black wings and emitted a powerful aura. The fallen winged clan. The chief of the winged clan said through gritted teeth. The winged human tribe had been guarding the demonic well for many years, and many of their tribesmen had been corrupted by the demonic chi. These tribesmen had betrayed the winged human tribe and fled to the demon realm of hell. Over time they had become the fallen winged human tribe. It could be said that the winged human tribe and the fallen winged human tribe were irreconcilable enemies. Now that they had met, both sides were on the verge of a fight. Haha, after so many years, the demonic well spell formation has finally disappeared. A black-haired man among the fallen winged tribe laughed loudly. This person was the current clan leader of the fallen winged tribe. He wore a set of black armor and held a long spear in his hand. His aura was extremely domineering. Lan Yu, go and reactivate the formation. Use the method third elder taught you in reverse. The chief of the winged human tribe said. All right. Lan Yu nodded and flew towards the altar again. However, there was no way the fallen winged humans would let her have her way so easily. A few fallen winged humans charged towards her as demonic aura and Taoist rhymes erupted at the same time. Trying to restore the spell formation? In your dreams. However, as soon as these people got close to Lan Yu, they were killed by several sword chi. It was Chu Kuangren who had made his move. Lan Yu once again arrived at the altar without any obstructions. With the scepter of light in her hand, her Taoist rhymes circulated and activated the spell formation on the altar. The chief of the fallen winged human tribe said coldly, "Kill that female winged human with everything you have. We must not let her reactivate the spell formation." Yes, a large number of fallen winged humans charged towards Lan Yu. The chief of the winged human tribe and the others naturally would not sit idly by. Humph, your opponents are us. Traitors of the winged human tribe, die. In the sky, black and white wings intertwined, initiating a battle between black and white. A large amount of Taoist rhymes spread, spiritual powers collided, and feathers fell from the sky. A terrifying aura covered half the sky. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren stood at the edge of the altar. He could not care less about the battle in the sky as he focused on protecting Lan Yu. Anyone who dared to get close to Lan Yu was mercilessly killed by him. Whether it was a nascent soul cultivator or a paradise realm cultivator, they were no match for him. Boom! A pitch-black giant hand with a surge of Taoist rhyme blasted out as if it was going to crush the void. An honorable's poise locked onto Chu Kuangren. Facing this attack, Chu Kuangren's expression turned serious. He held the Descendant Self sword in his hand and unleashed a blinding purple sword chi. When the sword chi and the giant hand collided, a terrifying shockwave swept out in all directions. The horrifying power caused the ground to crack and the void to tremble. Not far away, the third elder's expression changed. I can't believe this person's combat strength is so terrifying that he can block my attack. Although he did injure himself for the sake of putting on a show, his attack was still not something an ordinary honorable could block. He did not expect a battle monarch like Chu Kuangren to have such combat strength. Seventh forefather, watch over Lan Yu, Chu Kuangren said to the void. He then looked at the third elder with a glint in his eyes as the sword-based Taoist rhyme on his body gradually increased. Ever since I came out of my closed-door meditation, I've never used my full strength. I wonder how much of my strength you, an honorable, can force me to use? Chu Kuangren, this has nothing to do with you. If you leave now, you might be able to keep your life. Otherwise, you'll die for sure. The third elder said coldly. The invasion of the demonic realm concerns the lives of the common people. How can this have nothing to do with me? Besides, you're going to harm my people. Chu Kuangren's expression was cold as he twirled the sacred sword in his hand, and a chilling Taoist rhyme gushed out. The sword of the heavens and the green lotus sword song were unleashed. What a terrifying aura. Is he really just a battle monarch? The third elder's eyes shrunk in disbelief. However, what shocked him even more was that Chu Kuangren had unleashed his Battle Monarch domain. The terrifying domain energy even made him, an honorable, feel pressured. Is he King Battle Monarch? How could a Battle Monarch have such combat strength? The third elder felt a sense of fear. As an honorable, he might be able to put up a fight if he was at his peak. However, his injured body could only allow him to unleash less than half of his strength. This battle might be a little risky. What are you afraid now? Chu Kuangren could not help but chuckle when he saw the third elder's hesitation. Cultivation was not only about one's Taoist skills but also one's Taoist core. The third elder was afraid before the battle even began. Chu Kuangren had already gained the upper hand in this battle. Before his opponent could even open his mouth, Chu Kuangren had already unleashed a sword attack. A terrifying sword ray covered the sky. The Taoist rhyme contained within it was so powerful that it seemed like it could destroy everything in the world. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. The third elder's expression changed when he saw this terrifying sword Dao technique. He waved both his hands and unleashed a palm attack. The violent energy formed into a giant palm print. When the two energies collided, a huge explosion erupted and dust billowed. The third elder was forced back a few hundred feet. Suddenly he felt a sense of fear. He did not know when Chu Kuangren had appeared behind him. As the sword slashed down, the sharp sword chi caused his hair to stand on end. The third elder tried his best to dodge, but he was still not fast enough. Chapter 126. The third elder's scream attracted the attention of many people. When everyone looked over, they saw the third elder falling from the sky with a broken wing. He was bleeding profusely, and his face was as pale as a sheet. Chu Kuangren grabbed one of the wings and slowly descended from the sky. He looked at the wing in his hand and smiled. I wonder if this can be used to make grilled wings. Too bad I can't seem to find cumin anywhere. He then tossed the wing onto the ground and glared at the third elder coldly. The Battle Monarch domain was still suppressing him. Everyone, be it the fallen winged human or the winged human, was shocked. They looked at Chu Kuangren with fear. After all, the third elder was an honorable. Even if he was not at his peak state, he was still an honorable. The fact that Chu Kuangren could easily injure the third elder proved that his strength was not to be underestimated. More importantly, he was still very young and was only a battle monarch. How powerful would he become when he grew? Even I can't say that I can easily defeat the third elder, but he did it. Chu Kuangren is indeed a formidable opponent. The winged human young emperor Zhu Tianlan had a solemn look on his face. Initially, he did not believe that Chu Kuangren could defeat 5 young emperors by himself. However, it seemed that it was true. Save me! The third elder shouted at the fallen winged human leader. However, the fallen winged human leader was currently occupied by the winged human leader. Both of them were honorable supremes, so they were in a stalemate. As for the others, they had their own opponents to deal with as well. Save you? Who has the ability to save you? Chu Kuangren chuckled and raised his sword, ready to end his opponent. However, at that moment, the demonic well on the altar suddenly erupted with an extremely terrifying aura. And a terrifying domineering aura poured out. All the cultivators at the scene were shocked. They felt that their Tao techniques were being suppressed, and it was difficult for them to use them. Even the honorable supremes felt the same. This feeling is the Emperor's aura. Zhu Tianlan suddenly screamed as his body trembled. Everyone who heard him was shocked as they looked at the demonic well. An emperor? Could it be an emperor from the demonic realm this time? That's impossible. With the size and strength of this demonic well, even a sage can't pass through it, let alone an emperor. The chief of the winged human tribe said loudly. The rest of the powerhouses agreed with this statement as well. It would not be easy for a powerhouse from another realm to descend upon the firmament star. Did they really think that the world barrier was just a decoration? But my senses can't be wrong. This pressure is on the same level as the Emperor Qi in my body. It's definitely the pressure of the Emperor Tao. Moreover, our Tao techniques are being suppressed by the suppressive might. Isn't this the legendary one emperor suppressing all laws? Zhu Tianlan continued. He had the primordial emperor's essence, so he had some understanding of the emperor's aura. Moreover, the fact that the one emperor suppresses all laws was right in front of them. The other experts were also confused. Could it really be an emperor descending? Everyone stared at the well as a middle-aged man in a luxurious black robe walked out. The man had a high nose bridge, long and narrow eyebrows, and an arrogant expression. His gaze swept across the crowd as if he was looking at a group of lowly ants. Upon seeing him, the leader of the fallen winged tribe bowed to greet him. "Greetings, Demon Emperor." "Greetings, Demon Emperor." The reaction of the fallen winged tribe members made the leader of the winged human tribe and the others turn pale. It really was a demon emperor. "It's been a long time since I've been to the human realm. The air here is so fresh," the middle-aged man said after taking a deep breath. Then, he glanced at Lan Yu who was on the altar. "It's just my bad luck to encounter this hateful light aura as soon as I come out." As he spoke, he pointed a finger at Lan Yu from afar. A terrifying surge of demonic qi gathered and blended with a domineering Taoist rhyme that seemed to dominate the entire world before it headed towards Lan Yu. That powerful emperor's aura made it impossible for Lan Yu to resist. At that moment, a sword qi slashed out from the void. The sword qi was like a rainbow that blocked the middle-aged man's attack. The seventh forefather then walked out from the void with a solemn expression. The crowd could not help but feel shocked when they saw that he had blocked the middle-aged man's attack. Was an emperor's attack really that easy to block? A mere clone dares to act so arrogantly. Chu Kuangren slowly walked to Lan Yu's side, and let her continue to operate the formation on the altar while he and the seventh forefather faced the middle-aged man. His words made the leader of the winged human tribe and the others' eyes lit up. A clone. This so-called emperor in front of them was just a clone. This demonic well can only allow demonic beings below the sage level to pass through. No matter how strong this demon emperor's clone is, it can't be stronger than a sage. That's great, we still have hope. The crowd, who had felt hopeless because of their opponent's identity as an emperor, regained their confidence and the courage to fight again. "Oh, you can tell that I'm just a clone. And you're quite observant." The middle-aged man was surprised. Even the Honorable Supreme and Honorable Supremes at the scene could not see through him, so he did not expect a battle monarch like Chu Kuangren to be able to see through him. "If I'm not mistaken, you must be one of the 7 emperors of the demonic realm," Demon Emperor Pride. Chu Kuangren continued. "Huh?" Demon Emperor Pride was shocked. He did not expect that not only did his opponent know that he was a clone, but he also knew who he really was. "What else do you know? Let's hear it." Demon Emperor Pride's interest was piqued. Demon Emperor Pride, don't be fooled. This person is obviously trying to stall for time, so that Lan Yu can reactivate the spell to seal the demonic well. The leader of the fallen winged human tribe said hurriedly. "Are you telling me what to do now?" Demon Emperor Pride glanced at the leader of the fallen winged human tribe. "I dare not." The leader of the fallen winged human tribe turned pale and knelt on the ground in fear. Chu Kuangren watched from the side. The Eye of Revelation's analysis was right. Demon Emperor Pride was indeed arrogant. "I'm afraid this clone of yours doesn't even have 1/10,000th of your actual strength. Demon Emperor, do you really think this clone can stay in the human realm for long?" "I'm just trying to kill some time," Demon Emperor Pride said calmly. To him, he did not come to the firmament star to help the fallen winged human tribe. He was just bored and wanted to kill some time. "All right, Aunt. I don't know how you know all this, but I want to kill someone now." Demon Emperor Pride could see that Lan Yu was about to successfully activate the spell. Although he did not care, he would not let Chu Kuangren and the others succeed either. The seventh forefather's expression changed slightly. He took a step forward trying to stop Demon Emperor Pride. However, a terrifying domineering aura was released from Demon Emperor Pride's body and suppressed his Taoist technique. With his Taoist technique suppressed, his combat strength was greatly reduced. Even if it was just a clone of an emperor, he could still suppress all Taoist techniques. ***. A clone with less than 1/10,000th of his actual strength can suppress an honorable supreme. It's hard to imagine how terrifying his actual strength is. Is this the power of an emperor? The seventh forefather said in shock. "Seventh forefather, leave him to me." Chu Kuangren suddenly took a step forward and activated all 3 Taoist physique transformations. He channeled his spiritual power, and the 5 supreme foundation levels in his body simultaneously radiated with the divine light. Demon Emperor Pride was astonished. "You're not affected by my Emperor's aura. Your domineering aura is not strong enough." Chu Kuangren had been studying the Eternal Emperor scripture for 3 years. The Emperor's aura within the Emperor scripture was much stronger than Demon Emperor Pride's clone. Chapter 127. An Emperor suppresses all abilities. All the cultivator's Taoist techniques were suppressed by Demon Emperor Pride's Emperor's aura. Even if the honorable cultivators could channel their spiritual power, their Taoist techniques would be suppressed, and their strength would be greatly reduced. Moreover, this was just a clone of Demon Emperor Pride. If the main body were to descend, forget about a supreme honorable, even a sage ruler would be completely suppressed, unable to move at all. This was the power of an emperor. Among them, Chu Kuangren was the only one who had comprehended the emperor's scripture. For the past 3 years, he had been immersed in the emperor's aura. Even though it was not the complete emperor's aura and it was just an emperor's scripture, it still made his resistance to the emperor's aura far stronger than the other cultivators. He could even move freely in front of Demon Emperor Pride's clone. Interesting. I didn't expect the human realm to have such a talented young man like you. Unfortunately, you may be able to resist the Emperor's aura, but you're still just a battle monarch. Do you think you can defeat me? Demon Emperor Pride said and pointed a finger at Chu Kuangren from afar. A terrifying Taoist rhyme circulated, and demonic qi surged like a beacon. A finger's strength erupted, almost collapsing the entire void. Even if it was only a 10,000th or 100,000th of the Demon Emperor's power, even an honorable supreme would have to take it seriously. Little guy. Bachelor sage. The 7th forefather and the others were shocked. Even if Chu Kuangren was a peerless genius, he was still a battle monarch. How could he possibly withstand the attack of an honorable supreme? Boom! Just when everyone thought that Chu Kuangren was dead for sure, a terrifying sword qi suddenly erupted from his body. That sword qi was as bright as a rainbow, and it emanated a domineering aura. The Demon Emperor Pride's finger strength was shattered by that attack. This is a sage's attack. And it's not just any ordinary sage. Demon Emperor Pride was slightly surprised. Then the majestic sword qi that carried a surge of sage's aura landed on the Demon Emperor's clone, tearing half of its body apart. The remaining power caused the fallen winged humans behind the Demon Emperor to suffer heavy casualties. Even an honorable would be easily killed by that power. A sage's attack shook the heavens and earth. Everyone stared at that scene in shock and gulped. Chu Kuangren actually possessed the power of a sage. How does that feel? Chu Kuangren looked at Demon Emperor Pride, whose body had been torn apart by the sword qi and was about to dissipate. This sword energy was one of the Starlight grade prizes that he had drawn a few days ago. It could unleash an attack that was as powerful as a great sage. Nothing much. You don't even have a 10,000th of my true body strength. Demon Emperor Pride snorted coldly, still as arrogant as ever. But it's enough to destroy this clone of yours. Demon Emperor Pride's face darkened. Although he didn't care much about this avatar, the fact that it was destroyed out of nowhere was enough to infuriate him. He'd come to the mortal dimension this time with the intention of killing time, yet he'd been annihilated before he'd even started, so how could he possibly be in a good mood? This was like a person who wanted to go on vacation. He had bought the plane ticket, prepared the travel guide, and prepared his luggage. But as soon as he left the house, he was robbed of all his luggage, passports, and the like. "Aunt, tell me your name." "My surname is He and my name is By One." "Why do you have to ask? You're King messing with me." Demon Emperor Pride muttered the name twice before he suddenly realized what was going on. He glared at Chu Kuangren furiously. "Anyone with a discerning eye can tell. Why do you have to ask?" Chu Kuangren chuckled. "Alright, Aunt, I'll remember your aura. You better pray that you never fall into my hands." Demon Emperor Pride was so angry that his mouth twitched before he gradually dissipated into the void. The Emperor's aura had also disappeared. Run! At that moment, the Lord of the Fallen Winged Humans no longer cared about the demonic realm's descent. He led his subordinates and ran towards the direction of the demonic well. However, at that moment, the stone pillars around the altar began to glow brightly. for beams of light shot into the sky and landed on the demonic well. The void trembled, and the demonic well gradually disappeared. The altar's formation had been restored by Lan Yu. Now you have nowhere to run, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. With the phantom light strike, he arrived beside the third elder and unleashed a palm attack. The power of the human mountain stamp was unleashed. The third elder was blasted away by that attack, and he crashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. Countless cracks spread out like a spider web. Chu Kuangren appeared in front of the third elder like a ray of light. I've told you that no one can save you. You can die now. Chu Kuangren, you will die a horrible death. You've offended the demon emperor. You will not have a good ending. The third elder's face was covered in blood as he screamed. You won't be able to witness my ending. Chu Kuangren turned his sword and slashed it off the third elder's head. An honorable had fallen. Kill. Let's fight them. The lord of the fallen winged humans roared when he saw that there was no way out. He led the remaining fallen winged humans to fight the winged human tribe. In an instant, the ground and the void within a 100-kilometer radius shook. In the end, with the help of the seventh forefather and the others, the fallen winged humans who had lost the demon emperor's clone and the demonic well were annihilated. Winged humans, I curse all of you. The lord of the fallen winged humans roared. In the end, he was killed by the seventh forefather and the lord of the winged human tribe, and he exploded into a puddle of blood in the air. The fall of an honorable supreme did not bring about any transformations. With the great Dharma emergence, even the fall of an honorable supreme would not bring about any transformations such as the red rain. Perhaps it would be the same for the fall of a sage after some time. Finally, it's over. The lord of the winged human tribe breathed a sigh of relief. He then went up to Chu Kuangren and said gratefully, "Thank you for your help, Brother Chu. If it weren't for you, the winged human tribe would have been doomed." "It's all right," Chu Kuangren replied. This time he had done the winged human tribe a favor. "Since the demonic well's matter has been resolved, it's time for us to leave," Chu Kuangren said. "Brother Chu, there's no need to rush. You've helped us so much, so we should at least thank you. Why don't you stay in the city for a few more days? I'll arrange for someone to bring you around." The lord of the winged human tribe smiled. "Sounds good." Chu Kuangren gave it some thought. Since he was not in a hurry to leave, he agreed. The next day, a winged human tribe elder came and called Lan Yu away. Inside the great hall, Zhu Tianlan and a few other elders were gathered together, looking at Lan Yu before them with a smile on their faces, looking like they were harmless to both man and beast. "Lan Yu, you're still a member of the winged human tribe, and you've done us a great service by sealing the demonic well. Are you sure you don't want to stay?" One of the winged human tribe elders asked kindly. Lan Yu shook her head and said, "My only wish in this life is to follow my master. I'll go wherever my master goes. I've said this many times, so please don't try to persuade me anymore, elders. You're a young emperor. What's the point of staying by Chu Kuangren's side as a follower? What great achievements can you possibly achieve in the future?" Another white-haired elder said resentfully, "Sai, you can't say that. The divine predictor once said that Lan Yu's future achievements will not be any weaker than the emperors of old. However, Lan Yu, the path to becoming an emperor requires a lot of resources. How many resources can you possibly get by staying by Chu Kuangren's side? However, things will be different if you stay with the winged human tribe. We'll do our best to nurture you so that your journey on the path to becoming an emperor will be smoother." Chapter 128. In the Great Hall, one of the elders of the winged human tribe played the good cop while the other played the bad cop, trying to persuade Lan Yu to stay. After all, Lan Yu was a young emperor who was personally evaluated by the divine predictor as having the same potential as the emperors of old. In terms of value, even Zhu Tianlan could not compare to her. "I appreciate your kindness, elder, but I've said it before. I'm only willing to follow my master for the rest of my life. You don't have to say anything more." Lan Yu's attitude was firm. After that, she prepared to leave. "Hold it right there." At that moment, Zhu Tianlan could not help but speak up. "What's so good about that Chu Kuangren? Did he bewitch you? He's the one who made you so loyal to him." Zhu Tianlan's heart was filled with jealousy. He had to admit that he admired Lan Yu. Be it looks, qualifications, or identity, she was a good match for him. However, all he got in return was a cold attitude from her. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren had done nothing to make Lan Yu so loyal that she was willing to abandon the entire winged human tribe for him. He could not accept it, and his heart was filled with jealousy. "My master is a good person. You'll never be able to compare to him," Lan Yu said coldly when she saw Zhu Qianlan's hostility. "Just because he's stronger than me? There's someone 10,000 times better than you." Zhu Tianlan was speechless. This time he had completely given up. "You can leave, but leave the scepter of light behind." Zhu Tianlan took a deep breath and said. Lan Yu frowned. "Why? The scepter of light is the symbol of the winged human tribe's highest authority. It's been wandering outside for a long time. If you had returned to the winged human tribe, we would have given you the scepter. However, since you insist on leaving, we can't let you leave with the scepter," Zhu Tianlan said. "Since I can't keep you here, I must keep the sage ruler weapon." With his talent and the scepter of light, it would not take long for him to control the entire winged human tribe. Even the tribe leader would have to listen to him. The other elders looked at each other and stealthily sealed off Lan Yu's escape route. Even the kind-looking elder had a different expression on his face as he glared coldly at Lan Yu. "You want the scepter? Dream on." Lan Yu's body flashed with a white light and a silver-white armor covered his body. He was ready for battle. "Do it." Zhu Tianlan was the first to make a move. Both of his palms were stretched out and a terrifying Taoist rhyme was contained within them. The other elders also launched their attacks at the same time. The might of the honorable realm instantly locked onto Lan Yu. They wanted to end the battle quickly. No matter how talented Lan Yu was, she had only reached the battle monarch realm not too long ago. On the other hand, among the people in front of her, one was an ancient genius who was no weaker than her, and the rest were elders of the winged clan, all of them at the martial honor realm. It would be difficult for Lan Yu to fight against the combined forces of these people. "Surrender!" Zhu Tianlan seized the opportunity and sent out a palm strike. The boundless power sent Lan Yu flying, causing blood to trickle down from the corner of her mouth. Just as he was about to follow up with another attack, a domain force traversed through space and directly suppressed him. This pressure, how is this possible? Zhu Tianlan was trapped within the battle monarch domain. The spiritual power that he unleashed was dispersed, and he felt as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on his body. Even moving a finger was extremely difficult. Outside the Great Hall, Chu Kuangren slowly walked in. His expression was as cold as an eternal iceberg, and when he saw the blood at the corner of Lan Yu's mouth, a terrifying murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "Chu Kuangren, this is an internal affair of the winged human tribe. Die!" Zhu Tianlan wanted to say something, but Chu Kuangren had already appeared in front of him and raised his hand to unleash a human mountain stamp. The extremely violent human mountain stamp instantly erupted and blasted onto Zhu Tianlan's head without holding back. With a bang like an exploding watermelon, red and white matter splattered everywhere. Zhu Tianlan's head had been forcefully blown up. An ancient sky pride, a young emperor, had fallen. "Young emperor! Chu Kuangren, you deserve to die." The few honorables at the scene did not expect Chu Kuangren to kill Zhu Tianlan without even asking any questions just because of a disagreement. That was the young emperor of the winged human tribe. Now he had died in front of them. At that moment the few honorables were so furious that they almost went crazy. The old man who was kind to Lan Yu immediately channeled his spiritual power and attacked Chu Kuangren. "You're asking for it." Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed another human mountain stamp. The horrifying energy instantly blasted the winged human elder away. His limbs, bones, and internal organs were all shattered, and his entire body fell to the ground like a pile of mud. There was no sign of life. The lord of the winged human tribe and the others who heard the commotion and rushed over just in time to see the scene of Chu Kuangren killing the winged human elder. When they saw Zhu Tianlan's corpse on the ground, their bodies trembled violently. Although he was furious as the lord of the winged human tribe, he still retained a shred of rationality. He suppressed his anger and walked into the great hall. "What happened?" "I don't know either." Chu Kuangren slowly retracted his hand, which was still holding onto a primordial emperor's essence. That was the primordial emperor's essence that belonged to Zhu Tianlan. The lord of the winged human tribe and the others almost vomited blood when they heard what Chu Kuangren said. Don't know? If you don't know, then you killed Zhu Tianlan. But they injured Lan Yu. Chu Kuangren continued. Indeed, he did not know what happened, but the fact that these people dared to hurt Lan Yu was enough for Chu Kuangren to kill them. The lord of the winged human tribe glanced at Lan Yu. Seeing that she was indeed injured, he asked, Lan Yu, what happened? Lan Yu told the lord of the winged human tribe about how Zhu Tianlan and the others tried to steal the scepter of light. The lord of the winged human tribe's expression became uglier as he listened. He glared fiercely at the few elders who were in cahoots with Zhu Tianlan. What are you guys doing? Lan Yu has just saved our clan and you guys want to get rid of her after she's done with the grinding? Who gave you the guts to do that? Lord, the scepter of light is of great importance, and Lan Yu refused to return to our tribe. That's why we listened to the young emperor and came up with this plan, one of the elders said, pushing the blame onto the dead Zhu Tianlan. They were only following the young emperor's orders, and he was the culprit. He asked you guys to do it and you guys did it? Have all your years of living been in vain? Lord, it doesn't matter how this started. What's important is that Chu Kuangren has killed the young emperor and the fourth elder. One of the elders said loudly, glaring at Chu Kuangren furiously. The lord of the winged human tribe's heart skipped a beat. He too felt sorry for Zhu Tianlan's death. But the person who killed him was Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was so powerful that he could even kill a demon emperor's clone. Moreover, he had an honorable supreme and two honorable supremes by his side. If they were to fall out with each other, the winged human tribe would definitely suffer. Not to mention that they had just saved the entire winged human tribe. If they were to fall out with Chu Kuangren in the blink of an eye, what would they say? Zhu Tianlan incited our tribe to harm Lan Yu. He deserved to die. As for the few of you who were his accomplices, all of you shall face the wall for 10 years. You're not allowed to leave the city without my permission. The lord of the winged human tribe had already made up his mind. Lord, I refuse to accept this. Just as that elder was about to say something, the other elders beside him rushed up and held him back. Listen to the lord of the winged human tribe. Shut up and stop fooling around. Chapter 129. Chu Kuangren was not surprised by the lord of the winged human tribe's punishment. From the beginning to the end, he had been standing in the same place, looking as if he had nothing to do with it. He was not worried about his situation at all. It was as if he was not the one who had killed the young emperor. Brother Chu, it's my fault for not being able to control my subordinates properly. I'm sorry for making you laugh. The leader of the winged human tribe forced a smile. It doesn't matter. This matter isn't your fault. It's just that it's not good for us to continue staying here after something like this has happened. Then I won't keep you, fellow Taoist. The lord of the winged human tribe then looked at Lan Yu and said, Lan Yu, since you have chosen to follow Brother Chu, I will respect your decision. However, I hope that you will remember that the winged human tribe will always welcome you. Also, take this primordial emperor's essence from Zhu Tianlan. It will be helpful to you. If you need anything in the future, feel free to look for me. Thank you for your understanding, clan leader. Lan Yu's expression softened. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow as he held onto Zhu Tianlan's primordial emperor's essence. Initially, he did not plan to return this primordial emperor's essence anyway. After all, he had saved the entire winged human tribe. It was not too much to ask for a sovereign energy from the winged human tribe as a reward. However, the winged human tribe leader's words made it seem as if he had taken the initiative to give the sovereign energy to Lan Yu and had done her a favor. Furthermore, he had made his stance clear with his words and pulled his relationship with Lan Yu closer. After all, they were both winged humans. If Lan Yu became an emperor in the future, given her personality, she would definitely not forget to take care of the winged human tribe. TSK, as expected of a clan leader. Chu Kuangren did not mind at all. As long as the winged human tribe did not harm Lan Yu, it was not a big deal for them to play some tricks on him. Just like that, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu left the winged human tribe. Chu Kuangren did not plan to return to the Black Heaven sect. After being in seclusion for 3 years, he heard that many geniuses had appeared. He wanted to take a good look around and see what kind of trash they were. Above the sea of clouds, an immortal boat was sailing. Lan Yu sat on the deck and was merging with Zhu Tianlan's primordial emperor's essence. She soon succeeded, and her understanding of the Tao deepened. Chu Kuangren watched from the side. He was not very interested in the primordial emperor's essence. He had the Eternal Imperial Sutra, which was much more precious than the Arch-Chi. "Young master, where are we going next?" Lan Yu asked curiously after fusing with the primordial emperor's essence. "Wherever I go," Chu Kuangren answered casually. In fact, he did not have a clear goal in mind. Previously, he had visited various orthodoxies in the name of discussing the Tao. However, now that his cultivation had even surpassed that of a supreme exalt, there was no longer a need for him to visit these orthodoxies to discuss the Tao, unless he was looking for a saint. However, sages were elusive. How could it be so easy to meet them? He had not even seen the sage behind the Black Heaven sect. "Young master, there's movement up ahead." At this moment, Lan Yu suddenly said. In front of them there was a group of black flying beasts surrounding a huge ferry boat. "It's a black-feathered demonic bird." Chu Kuangren immediately recognized the species of these beasts. There were more than 10 cultivators on the immortal boat. These people were fighting against the attacks of the demonic beasts. All sorts of Tao techniques were released and it was dazzling. However, the Yao beasts far outnumbered the cultivators. After just a few rounds, the cultivators suffered from serious casualties. Additionally, the immortal boats were badly damaged as well. If this were to continue, all the cultivators would be wiped out. Damn it, these demonic beasts are too annoying. If this goes on, we're all going to die here. ***, this is too frustrating. I don't want to die yet. Some of the cultivators on the ferry boat were panicking, while others were angry. However, the sharp howls of the beasts continued to echo in their ears as if they were mocking them. At that moment, a surge of Taoist rhyme suddenly erupted from afar and struck the group of beasts. More than 10 beasts exploded on the spot and turned into a mist of blood. The sudden attack shocked all the beasts and cultivators, causing them to look into the distance. All they saw was a ferry boat breaking through the sea of clouds. On the deck stood a man and a woman, both of whom were peerless figures. These two people were Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. "Evil beasts, how dare you hurt people in front of me? You must be tired of living," Chu Kuangren said coldly as he stood on the deck. A strong gust of wind blew past, causing his black hair and clothes to flutter. His aura of a banished immortal instantly subdued all the cultivators on the ferry boat. "Fellow Taoists, please save us," one of the nascent soul cultivators said loudly. "Don't worry, everyone. Since I'm here, these beasts won't be able to hurt you," Chu Kuangren said righteously. All the cultivators on the scene were extremely excited. This fellow Taoist really has a chivalrous heart. Chu Kuangren was also very satisfied with his entrance. When it's time to act tough, I'll fight for justice. After all, these beasts were just small fries to him. Saving these cultivators was just a piece of cake. A beast flapped its wings and pounced towards Chu Kuangren. Its sharp claws reflected a chilling light under the sun. Following that, more beasts flew towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren did not even bother to use his sword. Instead, he activated his Battle Monarch domain and covered the void within a radius of 1,000 feet. A large number of flying beasts were bound in midair, unable to move. "Die!" Chu Kuangren raised his arm, and spiritual power surged as he unleashed the human mountain stamp. With a loud explosion, the beasts were killed on the spot. Even the aftermath was not something these golden core and nascent soul beasts could withstand. The peerlessly terrifying power of the human mountain stamp shocked everyone present, and the Battle Monarch domain made them suck in a breath of cold air. This is a domain. This young man is actually a Battle Monarch cultivator. How old is he to have such a cultivation level? Which sage orthodoxy's sky pride is this? Most of the cultivators on the ferry boat were from small sections. They did not even have a protector, and the highest cultivation level among them was only at the nascent soul realm. A Battle Monarch was already an impressive figure to them. After sensing Chu Kuangren's terrifying strength, the remaining beasts did not dare to stay any longer. They hurriedly flapped their wings and fled. Not long after, not even a single beast could be seen in the sky that was filled with demonic chi. All that was left were the casualties on the ferry boat and the damaged ferry boat, indicating that a battle had taken place there. On the ferry boat, a nascent Soul Realm elder walked forward and respectfully said to Chu Kuangren, "I'm an elder of the Iron Mountain sect. Thank you for your help, fellow Taoist. May I know your name?" "I'm Chu Kuangren. Greetings, fellow Taoists." Chu Kuangren, the legendary Chu Kuangren who single-handedly defeated 5 young emperors. The nascent Soul Realm elder was shocked. The others were even more shocked. They had long guessed that Chu Kuangren's identity was not simple, but they did not expect him to be the legendary peerless Sky Pride Chu Kuangren. "Your brother Chu Kuangren." At that moment, a young man walked out of the ferry boat and looked at Chu Kuangren excitedly. "That's me. Great, I've finally met you in person. I'm Yun Feiyang, a loose cultivator from the northern Lingdao state. 3 years ago, you killed hundreds of thousands of demonic cultivators in the northern Lingdao state and saved hundreds of millions of people. You're a great benefactor of the northern Lingdao state, and I've been longing for you for a long time. Today I've finally met you." Chapter 130. Chu Kuangren had disappeared for 3 years. His deeds were gradually overshadowed by other Sky Prides, but there were still some who did not forget. For example, in the northern Lingdao state, Chu Kuangren's name was still a cultivator, a legend passed down by the people. His deed of killing 100,000 demonic cultivators and saving the Taoist state was recorded in history. Countless cultivators looked up to him as a role model. Yun Feiyang was one of them. The northern Lingdao state. After the demonic onslaught, how has it been lately? Chu Kuangren asked as he reminisced. He was just asking casually, but to Yun Feiyang it seemed like Chu Kuangren cared about the people, which made him respect him even more. Ever since the demonic onslaught, the Taoist state has suffered great losses. The various sects and schools have lost many talents, but they have gradually recovered in recent years. The Mountain River sect has also been rebuilt, Yun Feiyang said. That's good to hear. By the way, Brother Chu, are you going to Sword Prayer City too? Sword Prayer City. Chu Kuangren was slightly confused. Seeing the expression on his face, Yun Feiyang knew that he had misunderstood, so he said, "Sword Prayer City is holding a great sword tournament recently, and many cultivators are going there to join in the fun. I thought Brother Chu would be the same." "Oh, you're all going to Sword Prayer City?" "Yes." "That's great, let's go together." Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. "Really? That's great." Yun Feiyang was even more excited now. To be able to travel with his idol was something he dreamed of. Along the way, Yun Feiyang was very friendly towards Chu Kuangren, and the others were also very curious about this peerless Sky Pride. However, unlike Yun Feiyang, they only observed in silence and did not interact much with him. Sword Prayer City is the place with the highest concentration of swordsmiths in the Azure Dragon domain. Its history can be traced back tens of thousands of years. The swords forged by Sword Prayer City are very famous in the Azure Dragon domain and even the Firmament Star, especially the Centennial swords. Each of them is a weapon that sword cultivators dream of owning. Every time they appear, many people will be attracted. Yun Feiyang said beside Chu Kuangren. The 100-year famed sword referred to a famed sword that was forged every 100 years in the Sword Reverence City. Every time the sword was forged, a great sword assembly would be held, inviting sword cultivators from all over the world to seek a suitable owner for the famed sword. The 100-year swords were about to appear in the world. Currently, all the sword cultivators in the Azure Dragon region were rushing towards the Sword Reverence City. Even some cultivators who were not sword cultivators ran over to join in the fun. The Black Heaven sect specializes in the Sword Dao, and they have some friendly relations with the Sword Prayer City. 30% of the swords on the Sword Mountain originate from the Sword Prayer City. In addition, little fellow, the Descendant Self-Sword in your hand is also one of the famous swords of Sword Reverence City. At this moment, the seventh ancestor transmitted his voiceover. A look of surprise flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes. The Sword Reverence City can forge saint swords? That's not the case. Not many swords are forged into holy swords. Swords become spiritual because they are wielded. The Kunwu Holy Sword became a holy sword because of an ancestor of the mysterious Sky sect. Actually, it's the same whether it's a sword or any other weapon. Most sage artifacts weren't sage artifacts in the beginning. They were only nurtured by sages and were tainted by sages' Taoist rhymes, gradually becoming sage artifacts. It's just that some weapons are more likely to become sage artifacts because of the material they were made of, or they become more powerful after becoming sage artifacts. A good weapons grade will continue to increase as the cultivator's cultivation level increases. It's not impossible for it to become an emperor weapon in the end. The Sword Prayer City's century sword is such a weapon. The seventh forefather gave Chu Kuangren some basic knowledge. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. He had read about this in the ancient books before, but the seventh forefather's explanation was more straightforward and easier to understand. A day later, Chu Kuangren and the others arrived at the Sword Prayer City. The city was very lively with people coming and going. Blacksmith shops could be seen on both sides of the street, and the sound of metal clanking could be heard constantly. Some of the clanking sounds were very noisy, while others were very pleasing to the ear. They carried a mysterious Taoist rhyme, like a piece of music. Other than the blacksmith shops, sword cultivators could be seen everywhere in the Sword Prayer City. Be it men or women, young or old, 9 out of 10 cultivators that Chu Kuangren saw had sword-based Taoist rhymes. Chu Kuangren's Taoist heart was a little excited when he arrived. He had the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, which was naturally compatible with sword Tao. Now that he was in the Sword Prayer City, he felt like a fish in water. Interesting. Chu Kuangren smiled. That feeling made him very happy. He had made the right decision to come to the Sword Prayer City. Brother Yun, let's part ways here. Chu Kuangren cupped his fists at Yun Fei Yang. Yes, Brother Chu. Goodbye. Yun Fei Yang was a little reluctant to leave. Although he had only spent a day with his idol, he was already deeply attracted to his idol's personality. Looking at Chu Kuangren's departing figure, Yun Fei Yang secretly made up his mind. From now on, he would work hard in his cultivation and strive to become an outstanding cultivator like his idol. After parting ways with Yun Fei Yang and the others, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu planned to find an inn to stay in. Since the Great Sword Tournament was about to begin, many cultivators had arrived in the Sword Forge City. Almost all the inns were full. However, this was not a problem for Chu Kuangren. With his wealth, he could easily build an inn with soul stones. After they found a place to stay, night fell. The Sword Prayer City's night market was very lively. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu strolled along the streets and passed by a stall. The owner of the stall was a middle-aged man in a gray robe. In front of him were pieces of strangely shaped stones. Each stone was labeled with a price. Even the cheapest one cost 100 top-tier soul stones. This was a price that most cultivators could not afford. These raw stones look pretty good. Yes, they are. However, even a top-tier ore is only worth a few hundred top-tier soul stones. This middle-tier ore is priced at 100 top-tier soul stones. That's a little high. There are so many rich people in this world anyway. There's no need to worry that no one will buy them. Look, those few over there are enjoying themselves. The stall was surrounded by a crowd. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu also joined in the fun. They're gambling on stones, Chu Kuangren said after watching for a while. In places where spiritual qi gathered, stones with rare minerals would occasionally form. These stones were known as ores. The surface of ores was very special. Spiritual thoughts could not penetrate it, so one could only rely on one's eyesight and experience to determine its value. Sometimes an ordinary ores could contain top-grade minerals that were worth tens or hundreds of times more. Sometimes the ores that were bought at a high price turned out to be worthless. Young man, do you want to give it a try? The stall owner saw that Chu Kuangren was interested, so he invited him. Chu Kuangren thought for a while and squatted down. He smiled and said, "Then I'll pick a few to play with." After all, he had a lot of soul stones in his yin and yang ring, so he could afford to play with them. He casually pointed at a black stone. This one. The crowd saw that he did not even look at it carefully before randomly picking one. They immediately knew that he was a newbie in the stone gambling circle. Chapter 131. Fellow Taoist, are you sure you want this one? The owner of the stall smiled faintly. These raw stones were all his. He knew which ones were good and which ones were bad and how they looked like. He knew everything clearly. The one Chu Kuangren had chosen was undoubtedly the worst one. The probability of getting something good was very low. No, I'll take this one. Chu Kuangren smiled. Beside him, an old man who was also picking raw stones saw how casual Chu Kuangren was, so he said, "It would be strange if you got anything good with your choices." Young man, stone gambling is not as simple as you think. In this line of work, you can't just rely on luck. The old man had been in the stone gambling industry for hundreds of years and was extremely experienced. He looked down on those who relied on luck the most. To him, a moment of luck did not mean anything at all. Heh. Thank you for the reminder. I'm just playing around. Chu Kuangren smiled and did not say anything. Seeing how indifferent he was, the old man snorted, quite dissatisfied. All right, I have someone who specializes in opening stones for you. You only need to pay 1 top-tier soul stone. What do you think? The stall owner said. Sure. A total of 101 top-tier soul stones. After Chu Kuangren paid the soul stones, he asked someone to take his raw stone and open it. The surrounding crowd watched curiously. Although they did not hold much hope, it would be a waste not to watch a show like this. Some people even had the mentality of watching a joke. Do you guys think this will rise? Rise my asterisk is, based on my decades of experience in stone gambling, this raw stone is just a piece of trash. It won't rise. That's right, the quality is too poor. Even if it can be seen, it'll probably be the lowest quality jade stone. These 100 top-tier soul stones are definitely a loss. No one thought that this raw stone would rise. In fact, it was very easy for Chu Kuangren to know whether this raw stone could rise or not, because he had the treasure locating skill. As long as he activated it, he would naturally know whether this raw stone was a treasure or not. But he didn't do that. Instead, he chose a raw stone at random just to test how good his luck was. A middle-aged man held a saw-like knife and began to cut open the rock. As the cracks on the rock became deeper and deeper, a bright red light shot out from the cracks and into the sky. The red light vaguely transformed into a divine bird that circled in the sky. A strong Taoist rhyme filled the air, causing everyone's expression to change. In particular, the disdainful old man was breathing heavily as he looked at the stone. This phenomenon, could it be the stone of phoenix blood? The stone of phoenix blood was a quasi-sage grade mineral. The old man had been in the stone gambling circle for so many years, but he had never seen such a mineral before. He had only heard about it from some of his fellow Taoists. But now, such a top-notch treasure was right in front of him, and it was obtained by a young man who only relied on luck. This caused his mentality to be somewhat unbalanced. As the ore was completely opened, the image of the divine bird in the sky became more and more lifelike. It was the legendary divine bird, the phoenix. The middle-aged cultivator looked at the blood-red, crystal-clear raw stone in front of him and gulped. Oh my God, this is the first time in so many years that I've opened a mineral of this grade. My life was worth it. The divine bird, the phoenix, circled in the void for a while before it slowly dissipated. However, everyone was still immersed in shock and could not recover from it. What the F***CK? The stone of phoenix blood. After a long while, one of the cultivators stuttered. In an instant, the rest of the people began to discuss among themselves. That guy used 100 soul stones to open the stone of phoenix blood. That's not just a profit, it's a crazy profit. Gulp, if this stone of phoenix blood were to be sold, it could fetch at least a few million top-tier soul stones. That's tens of thousands of times more. What's the stone of phoenix blood? It's a legendary mineral in the stone gambling circle. Whether it's used for cultivation or equipment forging, it's a top-notch treasure. If anyone who plays stone gambling can open a stone of phoenix blood, their life would be worth it. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren enviously, and some of the cultivators who gambled on the stones felt a little remorseful. 100 top-tier soul stones for a stone of phoenix blood. If they had bought it, they would be the ones getting the stone of phoenix blood now. How could this be? That raw stone was undoubtedly of the lowest grade. So how could it contain a stone of phoenix blood? Also, why couldn't I tell? The old man stood there and murmured, his face full of regret and unwillingness. The stall owner was heartbroken too. He sold a stone of phoenix blood for 100 top-tier soul stones just like that. That was not just selling it cheaply, it was giving it away for free. Fellow Taoist, have you gambled on stones before? The stall owner asked curiously, suspecting that Chu Kuangren was pretending to be weak. No, it's my first time. Then your luck must be heaven-defying. The stall owner could not help but smile bitterly when he saw that Chu Kuangren did not seem to be lying. My luck has always been good. Chu Kuangren smiled. With the lucky halo's help, his luck was not just good. He was the Emperor of Fortune, no, the God of Fortune. This stone of phoenix blood is a sage-grade mineral. If you bring it to the auction house, it's not impossible to sell it for tens of millions of soul stones. The stall owner said emotionally. Although he was heartbroken, the outcome was already set in stone. The moment he sold it, it no longer mattered to him what the raw stone was worth. That much. Lan Yu was a little surprised. 100 soul stones sold for tens of millions? That was 100-fold increase. That was too much. Hey Lan Yu, you pick one too. Chu Kuangren said. Lan Yu was a little tempted, so she began to pick carefully. She did not have any experience in stone gambling, but those in the industry could tell from her actions. Then she picked a raw stone. To the old man and the stall owner, that raw stone was neither too good nor too bad. After handing over the soul stones, they continued to open the stones. The crowd gathered around to watch. To be able to get a stone of phoenix blood once is already very heaven-defying luck. I'm guessing it won't be anything good this time. Think so too. Their luck can't be that good, can it? A burst of golden light shot out from the cracks in the raw stone. A golden liquid flowed out of the raw stone, containing extremely pure spiritual qi. It was a spiritual marrow. What the F***ck? This is a spiritual marrow, an earth spiritual marrow. This raw stone is actually a crystal formed from the earth spiritual marrow. My God. An earth spirit crystal. An honorable grade mineral. First they got a sage grade mineral like the stone of phoenix blood, and now they got an earth spirit crystal. These two are too lucky. Everyone was shocked. The stall owner wanted to cry but no tears came out. What was going on? They bought a stone of phoenix blood, and now they got an earth spirit crystal. Were these two messing with him? Fellow Taoist, tell me honestly, is this really your first time stone gambling? Some cultivators might not even get to see these two stones in their lifetime. The stall owner once again suspected Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren said helplessly, "It's really my first time. This is impossible, this is impossible." The old man beside him clutched his chest and panted. His face was flushed and his veins were bulging. Chu Kuangren was taken aback. Was the old man going to have a heart attack? How did you know? The old man stared at Chu Kuangren with bloodshot eyes. The two raw stones that contained rare minerals were placed in front of him, but he could not tell what they were, allowing a young man to buy them for a low price of 100 soul stones. He had never seen such a rare mineral in his entire life in the stone gambling circle. How could he accept this? I really picked them randomly. What about you, Lan Yu? I thought that one looked better, so I picked it. Chapter 132. Chu Kuangren was also slightly surprised by his own luck. The first time he got a stone of phoenix blood, the second time he got an earth spirit crystal. This lucky halo was quite amazing. Chu Kuangren put the two ores into his yin and yang ring. Then the two left under the envious gaze of the crowd, leaving behind a bewildered old man and a distressed stall owner. Their luck is just too good. To think that they could obtain such a rare or just by randomly picking one. How amazing! Just who are these two fellows? Wait, if they can get such a mineral from a random pick, what about the other ores? Can it also produce good ores? Someone in the crowd suddenly said. As soon as this was said, many people's eyes lit up. That's right, if two ordinary ores could contain such top-notch minerals, then what about the better ores? Thinking of this, the crowd looked at the ores in front of the stall owner with burning eyes and immediately surrounded him to pick and choose. Boss, I want this one. This one looks good, several times better than the ores those two people chose. I don't believe it can't get anything good. Boss, I want all of these. The stall owner's ores were immediately bought by the crowd. Perhaps Chu Kuangren's luck of getting two top-grade minerals had created a false impression that they could do the same. Even some noobs who did not know anything could not sit still and bought them one after another. A profit of tens of thousands of times. Who could sit still? However, when the ores in the crowd's hands were opened one by one, everyone was dumbfounded. Not to mention a profit of tens of thousands of times, even the best ores could only cover the cost. Most of the ores were worthless waste stones, and the only two valuable ores had already been taken by Chu Kuangren and Yi Lingchen. This time, the crowd was no longer calm, and they were mentally unbalanced. What the F asterisk CK, how could this be? The ore I chose was definitely a good one. Why did it get such a SH asterisk T to Y thing? This is not fair. Why can they get top-grade minerals from such a bad ore, but mine can't? Sigh, that's how stone gambling is. It depends 30% on eyesight and 70% on fate. I can only say that those two people have great luck. No, boss, I want a refund. Yes, there must be a conspiracy. I want a refund. The stall owner calmly took out a big knife and stabbed it into the ground. He said lightly, "The raw stone has been sold. There is no such thing as a refund in this business." Seeing this, everyone calmed down. The crowd dispersed, but the news of a man and a woman stone gambling in the night market and obtaining a stone of phoenix blood and an earth spirit crystal spread like wildfire throughout Sword Prayer City. For a moment, countless people were envious. The next day, Chu Kuangren was still doing the lucky draw as usual. Congratulations to the host for drawing the divine pet, the immortal phoenix. Godly pet. Even if Chu Kuangren had the lucky halo, he was still extremely surprised that he could draw a god-tier prize. Opening up his inventory, there was an additional prize that emitted a fiery red glow among the various prizes. It was an egg. The surface of the egg was also engraved with all kinds of profound runes. Extract. With a command in his mind, an egg that was bigger than a human head suddenly appeared in front of Chu Kuangren. A mysterious Taoist rhyme emanated and quickly spread, directly affecting the entire Sword Prayer City. Countless strong cultivators sensed it and looked towards Chu Kuangren's direction. What is this Taoist rhyme? So strange. It's filled with a strong vitality and a fiery Taoist rhyme. Could it be that some kind of peerless fire attribute beast has been born? Interesting. In Sword Prayer City, surges of spiritual thoughts surged towards Chu Kuangren's direction. However, they were then blocked by three more powerful spiritual thoughts. It was the seventh forefather and the other two who intercepted them. Honorable Supreme. Such a strong cultivator has appeared in Sword Prayer City. Interesting. It seems that this opportunity of fortune will not be mine. The deterrence of an Honorable Supreme was still very strong. In the absence of a sage, no one would dare to go against such an existence. In the room of the inn, Chu Kuangren looked at the egg in front of him curiously. How do I hatch this egg? Young man, look at this Taoist rhyme. This egg is a peerless beast. No, it might even be an extinct ancient species. The seventh forefather's emotional voice came from the void. He did not ask how this egg came to be. He had long been convinced by Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's opportunities of fortune were rarely seen in this world, and it was shocking. If he could open a sage grade or just by going out for a stroll, it was not impossible for him to pick up an ancient species along the way. Seventh forefather, I don't have much experience in incubating eggs. Do you know how to do it? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. The seventh forefather's face darkened. I don't have any experience either. He was not a hen, so how could he have any experience in incubating eggs? Oh, Chu Kuangren was a little disappointed. Although I don't have any experience, it's recorded in the ancient books that incubating this type of beast requires a large amount of energy. Most of the energy is channeled by the mother during incubation. Why don't you try? All right then. Chu Kuangren nodded and placed his hand on the godly phoenix egg. The eggshell was very warm and smooth, like a piece of warm jade. Tisk, it'll be nice to hug it to sleep in the winter. After placing his hand on the eggshell, Chu Kuangren began to channel the spiritual power in his body, and slowly channeled it into the godly phoenix egg. Suddenly, the godly phoenix egg erupted with a strong suction force. The spiritual power in Chu Kuangren's body surged uncontrollably towards the godly phoenix egg, and in the blink of an eye 1/10 of his spiritual power was sucked away. After all, he had the 5 supreme foundation levels, and the abundance of spiritual power in his body far exceeded those in the same realm. Even an honorable could not compare to him. Yet 1/10 of his spiritual power was sucked away in the blink of an eye. If it were any other battle monarch, would they not be sucked dry in an instant? Chu Kuangren did not stop and allowed the godly phoenix egg to absorb his spiritual power. After a while, he was left with less than 1/10 of his spiritual power, but the godly phoenix egg still showed no signs of hatching. It was like a bottomless pit, unfathomable. If this goes on, I'll be sucked dry first. Chu Kuangren shook his head, stopped channeling his spiritual power, and retracted his hand. The godly phoenix egg trembled, and Chu Kuangren felt a sense of dissatisfaction. It was as if the egg was complaining that it was not full. Looks like I've established a preliminary connection with this godly phoenix egg, Chu Kuangren thought to himself, and then a helpless look appeared on his face. Why do I feel like I'm raising a child? There's no more food today, I'll give you more tomorrow. Chu Kuangren shook his head and used his spiritual thought to comfort the godly phoenix egg. Then he threw it into his yin and yang ring, and took out a few medicinal pills to replenish his spiritual power. After breakfast with Lan Yu, the two of them left the house. Due to the Great Sword Tournament, more and more sword cultivators came to Sword Prayer City from all over the world. Most sword cultivators would rather break than bend, and they had a strong and unyielding temperament. They would draw their swords at the slightest sign of conflict. Chapter 133. Swordsman of Snow, I want your sword. Humph, if you want my sword, let's see if you're capable enough. At the peak of a tall building in the Sword Reverence City, two swordsmen were currently engaged in a duel. Sword chi filled the air as a large crowd gathered below. Originally, with so many swordsmen in the Sword Reverence City, it wasn't a rare thing for people to fight each other. However, these two people were different. Sword Hoarder and Swordsman of Snow are fighting. Holy F***CK. Those are all supreme beings. They're probably here for the Centennial Sword as well. Can Swordsman of Snow beat Sword Hoarder? It might be a little difficult. The crowd was in a heated discussion. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu were curiously watching the battle from below. Young master, these two are quite strong, especially the one called Sword Hoarder. He isn't considered weak even amongst the Supremes, Lan Yu said. The Sword Hoarder she mentioned was an old man with a gloomy face. He wore a gray robe and carried a sword case on his back. His aura was extremely powerful. Yes, I have heard of this person. In the Azure Dragon domain there is a saying, 2 heroes and 7 heroes. The 2 heroes refers to my honored master and honorable swordsman White Cloud, while the 7 heroes refers to the 7 swordsmen who are second only to these 2. Sword Hoarder is one of the 7 heroes of Sword Dao. As for Swordsman of Snow, he's quite famous in the world of swordsmanship, but he's slightly weaker than Sword Hoarder. Chu Kuangren said slowly as he observed the two of them. After some comparison, he found that although his cultivation was not as good as the two of them, if they were to fight, it would not be too difficult for him to win. He was much stronger than he was 3 years ago. Supreme Technique 1,000 Miles of Drifting Snow. At that moment, Honorable Swordsman of Snow held his longsword and a cold Taoist rhyme emanated from him. The sword slashed out, and the snow-white sword light stretched across the sky. Haha, good timing. Wolf devour. Sword Hoarder laughed heartily. Sword chi intertwined around him and transformed into a giant purple wolf. The giant wolf collided with the snow-white sword light and tore it apart. Then it crashed into Swordsman Supreme of Snow. Venerable Swordsman of Snow spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Sword Hoarder seized the opportunity and swung his sword again. This time, he managed to sever Honorable Swordsman of Snow's hand and snatch his sword away. Ha, Snow Drinker! This sword is mine. Sword Hoarder took off the sword case on his back and opened it. There were a dozen or so swords inside. Every single one of them was of extraordinary quality, precious light swirling about them. Sword Hoarder put Snow Drinker in and smiled in satisfaction. Not far away, Swordsman of Snow clutched his broken arm. His face pale and his eyes filled with resentment. Sword Hoarder, you've gone too far. Too much? How is it too much? A good sword naturally needs a good swordsman. Your skills are inferior, so this sword should be mine. His name was Sword Hoarder, and he loved collecting all kinds of famous swords, especially the swords of famous swordsmen. Every time he collected a famous sword, he would feel an extraordinary sense of accomplishment. As for how he was going to collect it and how the process was going to be, he did not care. In the crowd, Chu Kuangren shook his head. In his opinion, Sword Hoarder was a collector. It was not a big deal, but his methods were too extreme. No wonder he had such a bad reputation in the world of swordsmanship. It's a pity that Honorable Swordsman of Snow is being targeted by Sword Hoarder. Sigh, in this world of swordsmanship, Even those who are weak dare not flaunt their good swords. They're afraid of being targeted by Sword Hoarder. I guess he's here in Sword Prayer City for the Century Sword. I wonder if anyone can stop him. It's hard to say. Sword Hoarder is one of the 7 heroes of the swordsmanship world. Sword Hoarder did not care about the crowd's comments. After he obtained the sword, he carried the sword case and was about to leave. However, his gaze suddenly froze as he looked into the crowd. As if he had sensed something, he scanned the crowd. It's the aura of a good sword. And it's a very good sword. Where is it? Sword Hoarder mumbled to himself. Finally, his gaze locked onto Chu Kuangren and he appeared in front of him in a flash. Sword Hoarder's sudden appearance caused many people to retreat. Kid, let me have a look at the sword in your body. Sword Hoarder stared at Chu Kuangren with a fiery gaze. He had sensed that Chu Kuangren definitely had a good sword with him. In fact, it was even better than Snowdrinker. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. How did Sword Hoarder know that he had a sacred sword in his body? At that thought, he activated his Eye of Revelation. Instantly, information about Sword Hoarder flashed through his mind. Sword Hoarder, one of the 7 heroes of the Azure Dragon domain, cultivates the honorable human sword sense and has a keen sense of all swords in the world. Chu Kuangren finally understood. The human sword sense had such a unique technique. No wonder he could sense the sacred sword's aura in his body. I can't give you my sword, Chu Kuangren said. You can't. Sword Hoarder raised an eyebrow and looked Chu Kuangren up and down. It was his first time seeing someone with such an extraordinary temperament. Moreover, Chu Kuangren was able to face him so calmly. Could he be a God-favored disciple from some sage orthodoxy? At that thought, even Sword Hoarder could not help but be cautious. He took out the sword case and opened it, revealing the glowing swords inside. Take your pick. I'll trade with you. Chu Kuangren glanced at the swords in the case. They were indeed extraordinary, but unfortunately, none of them could compare to the Descendant Self sword. The sword case, on the other hand, gave him a very strange feeling. Interesting. Chu Kuangren carefully looked at the sword case. The sword case looked like it was made of a single piece of bronze. Its edges and corners were seamless, and there were mysterious runes and pictures of beasts engraved on it. Chu Kuangren subconsciously reached out to touch the sword case. However, when his fingertips touched the surface of the case, it suddenly trembled, and an incomparably mysterious Taoist rhyme emanated. All the swordsmen present felt the swords in their hands start to tremble as if they were summoned. Sword Hoarder's expression changed. He quickly closed the sword case and looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. What did you do? What can I do? I just touched it a little. Is that really all? Sword Hoarder was still doubtful. After all, since he obtained this sword chest, no matter what he did, he'd never caused it to react in the slightest. However, the sword case reacted to Chu Kuangren's touch. What the hell was going on? Cut the crap. Kid, are you going to trade or not? Nope. If that's the case, then don't blame me. In the end, Sword Hoarder could no longer hold back his desire for the sacred sword in Chu Kuangren's body. He immediately attacked with 2 fingers like a sword. Oh, you've gone too far. Chu Kuangren's gaze turned cold. He did not expect Sword Hoarder to attack him just because he did not want to trade. Chu Kuangren unleashed his spiritual power and attacked with his palm. Human Mountain Stamp. Majestic earth chi gathered in his palm and collided with Sword Hoarder's sword fingers. A terrifying shockwave erupted, and both sides were forced back. As one of the 7 heroes of the swordsmanship world, his strength is indeed much stronger than the 3rd elder of the winged human tribe. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Chapter 134. Wow, he's so strong. Sword Hoarder's expression changed when he sensed Chu Kuangren's strength. He was obviously shocked by his opponent's strength. To have such combat strength at such a young age. This person was definitely a sky pride from some sage orthodoxy. Kid, which young emperor are you? Sword Hoarder asked coldly. To him, only a young emperor could force him to retreat. Even an average young emperor would not be able to do so. I'm not a young emperor, but I've defeated quite a few before this. Chu Kuangren smiled. The crowd was in an uproar when they heard that. Someone's eyes narrowed when he thought of something. I know. He's the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren. Everyone knew that Chu Kuangren had defeated a few young emperors some time ago. Coupled with his appearance and demeanor, it was not difficult to guess who he was. Everyone was shocked at that moment. So he's Chu Kuangren. It's true that seeing is believing. He really has the looks of an immortal, and his strength is just too strong. Yeah, he managed to force Sword Hoarder to retreat with just one palm. He's an honorable, much stronger than the average honorable. Looks like it's true that he defeated a few young emperors. The crowd was in an uproar. Some of the young geniuses could not help but be excited. A young emperor was the goal of many young sky prides, but Chu Kuangren had defeated a few of them. That alone was enough for many sky prides to elevate him to a higher position. Sword Hoarder was slightly surprised when he heard about Chu Kuangren's identity. Rumor has it that there are 10 sacred swords in the Black Heaven sect. It seems that the one in your body is one of them. No wonder it gave me such a feeling. Sword Hoarder's eyes were filled with reluctance. That was a sacred sword. He loved collecting famous swords, but he had never collected a sacred sword before. However, no matter how tempted he was, he could not do anything about it. Because his opponent was Chu Kuangren, the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect. He must have an honorable protector behind him, or even more than one. If Sword Hoarder were to make a move, it would not end well for him. What a shame, what a shame. Let's go. Although Sword Hoarder was reluctant, he knew that he could not get the sacred sword that Chu Kuangren had. Just as he was about to leave, a ray of light flashed in front of him. It was Chu Kuangren who stood in front of him. Since you've already made your move, don't you think it's too easy for you to leave now? Chu Kuangren said coldly. He attacked as he pleased and left as he pleased? Did he really think he had no temper? Did he really think that the name Chu Kuangren was just for show? Humph. Do you really think you can stop me if I want to leave? Sword Hoarder slapped his sword case and a treasured sword flew out into his hand. Wolf Devour. Sword Hoarder swung his sword without holding anything back. Countless sword chi intertwined to form a gigantic purple wolf that had the power to devour the heavens as it charged towards Chu Kuangren. Didn't you want to see my sword? As you wish. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The sword chi within his body surged, and the descendant self-sword flew out along with the sword chi, unleashing a blinding purple sword ray. The sword light was like a flood, and a terrifying Taoist rhyme that seemed to be able to destroy everything and tear the sky apart surged out along with the sword light. The gigantic wolf was decapitated by the sword light, and its Taoist rhyme and spiritual power dispersed. However, the purple sword ray was still charging forward and locked onto Sword Hoarder. His expression changed as he raised his longsword to block the attack. With a loud clang, the longsword broke into several pieces. Sword Hoarder spat out a mouthful of blood from the impact of the sword chi and was sent flying. His body smashed through several walls like a cannonball. Even with the sacred sword in his hand, his combat strength is still too strong. Rumor has it that he killed Honorable Swordsman White Cloud 3 years ago. I guess he does live up to his reputation. Sword Hoarder's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with horror. He threw away the broken sword in his hand and placed his sword case in front of him. He then channeled a large amount of spiritual power into it, and a myriad of treasured swords flew out and surrounded him with terrifying Taoist rhymes. Chu Kuangren, have a taste of my sword formation. 1,000 armies sword formation. Go. The 12 treasured swords formed a circle and locked onto Chu Kuangren with a majestic sword chi. Taoist rhymes filled the air as the sword chi intertwined with each other. The 12 swords unleashed the aura of an army of thousands. 1,000 armies sword formation. This was Sword Hoarder's most powerful killing technique. It was also one of the reasons why he was so passionate about collecting famed swords. He wanted to have enough swords to unleash this powerful sword formation. Faced with the incoming sword formation, Chu Kuangren neither dodged nor evaded. Instead, a mysterious Taoist rhyme emanated from his body, and a sword of the heavens formed above his head. In an instant, all the swords in the city trembled. Freeze! Chu Kuangren yelled. The 12 swords that were flying towards him were frozen in midair, and the monstrous sword chi dispersed in an instant. The scene before them shocked the crowd, including Sword Hoarder. What's going on? Sword Hoarder channeled his spiritual power in an attempt to control the 12 swords. However, no matter what he did, The swords did not budge an inch. They even resisted and rejected his spiritual power. Sword Hoarder had never encountered such a situation before. The swords don't communicate with humans. How can you control them? At that moment Chu Kuangren spoke. With a thought, the swords that were suspended in midair plunged into the ground in front of him. The swords bent slightly as if they were bowing to him. The exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. I get it now. You have the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. You're the one controlling these swords. Sword Hoarder finally figured it out. He stared at Chu Kuangren with bloodshot eyes filled with disbelief and intense jealousy. The exquisite 9 orifices sword heart was born with the ability to communicate with thousands of swords. It could even allow one to control swords without refining them. It was extremely powerful. It was a physique that every sword cultivator dreamed of. You only kept the swords but didn't refine them. Even if you can forcefully control them with your spiritual power, you're still at a disadvantage. Nonsense. Do you really think everyone has the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart? How could I refine so many swords? Sword Hoarder's tone was filled with jealousy and hatred. There was a limit to how many swords one could refine. A person's energy was limited, and most sword cultivators would only refine one sword in their lifetime. Moreover, how could Sword Hoarder ever imagine that he would one day go up against Chu Kuangren, who had the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart? That's why you've lost, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He then slowly raised his hand and aimed it at Sword Hoarder. With a thought, the entire sword case trembled slightly and flew towards him. What? Give me back the sword case. Sword Hoarder panicked. The sword case and the swords within it were his life's work. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and slashed again. The Descendant Self-Sword exploded with a dazzling sword ray, forcing Sword Hoarder to defend himself with all his might. Even so, he was still blasted away with dozens of sword wounds on his body. Seeing that, Sword Hoarder knew that he was no match for Chu Kuangren. If he stayed any longer, he might even lose his life. Making a prompt decision, countless sword chi erupted from his body towards Chu Kuangren. Then he fled into the distance.